IIIT City, can you confirm that you are able to hear us? IIIT
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, it's audible, sir. Yeah.
Harish, are you having the deck?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready? Yeah. Are you having presentation privileges so that I'm just checking the hygiene because you will be walking through the rules, regulations?
Yes, Karthik, I do have it.
Yeah. I see somebody else on the right side who joined on video. Okay, great. Harish, whenever you're ready, we are 10 minutes into the event, so I think we should get started. But let me first of all welcome all of you. It is super exciting to be here at IIIT Sri City's Thryve Digital Enabled Healthcare Hackathon, the National Healthcare Hackathon, second edition 2023. It is actually the Thryve Digital IIIT Sri City National Healthcare Hackathon for all the uninitiated. Usually at this time of the year, we are challenged with weather conditions. It is almost becoming a pattern. Last year, I remember when we did this in the first week of November, again, we had similar, unfortunate weather flooding conditions, especially in the southern part of, India. And it so happened that we demonstrated the same resilience, right? So the best part of, I think, this hackathon, the spirit of the hackathon is not to give up. The spirit of the hackathon is to keep going strong despite the weather conditions, right? It's almost like a cricket match which has to see to the finishing line. Any good game where the true athletes are the ones who do not care about the environment conditions. They do not give excuses. So first of all, I think all of you need to pat yourself on the back that you're here today and you're with us, especially people in the southern part of the country dialing in from Tamil Nadu, parts of Andhra Pradesh. I know the weather in Karnataka is also not great. So to all of you who have basically not been able to join in due to weather conditions or connectivity, our wishes, our hearts goes out to you. I hope you're staying safe with your family, loved ones, friends, wherever you are. And we had originally planned this event to be hybrid, but given the weather conditions, largely this event is going to be an online event with in presence of few senior members, especially the corporate leaders, some of whom we are seeing on this call already. And I will go about, introducing. So let me start off once again, first of all, thanking our organizing partners, Thryve Digital, which is a leading, healthcare payer platform, digital services company, which is based out of Chennai, headquartered there, and offices in Hyderabad, catering to their parent company, Highmark Health, whom we'll hear a lot more about, I'm sure, from our special guest today. IIIT Sri City, please be on mute. Those of you who are not talking, please be on mute, so that we can basically ensure that there is no disturbance during the session. So going ahead with the schedule today, this is what we call as the pre-launch. So we basically ensure during the pre-launch that we introduce for the various hackathon themes the problem statements. We also bring about clarity onto the kind of hacking platform which we are all here for. So first of all, let me also kind of take a step back. Why are we here today? What is the need for a healthcare hackathon? This all originated last year, where working closely with the various IIITs across the country, specifically IIIT Sri City, which is the host institution. We came up with this pioneering idea thanks to Mr. Balasubramaniam M, who's also the founder of Strat Infinity. And we have the registrar, we have the respected director, professors of eminence from IIIT Sri City. The same team came together last year to ask this question: how can we as academia and how can some of us part of the industry collaborate together, and how can we make this a winning combination to tackle some of the nation's problems when it comes to deploying state-of-art technology solutions, Industry 5.0 solutions. And I specifically say Industry 5.0 because for those who are uninitiated in this, Industry 5.0 puts the human at the forefront. It is what Boston Consulting Group talks about as bionic. Bionic is basically enabling the digital natives of an organization beyond looking at technology as a digital transformation, and applying these to healthcare 4.0, hopefully what we will call as healthcare 5.0 outcomes in the coming times. India is at the brink, at the cusp of innovation, under the able leadership. We are very grateful also to the various ministries under the union government, under the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, last year. Also, we had launched this healthcare hackathon right after the 5G launch, which happened in New Delhi in September. We have seen the country made several strides when it comes to technology innovations, especially in the space of healthcare and other domains, also banking, financial sector as well. But we are specifically, as part of this annual feature, looking at how can we implement the latest and greatest technologies, the best of technologies, for the benefit of serving the nation's purpose of being a pioneering leader in healthcare. And India today is one of the largest hubs for the global captive centers. We have Thryve Digital, as I mentioned to you, are organizing platinum sponsor along with IIIT Sri City, the host institution. We also thank our technology platform company, which is DevFolio. And last but not the least, I'm very happy to see also Mr. Darshan Kumar dial in from Planotech, company in UAE. A Planotech free zone company in UAE, in Dubai Silicon Oasis. There we have Mr. Darshan Kumar live, who are enabling this as an overall organizing partner, as an event partner, as well as a thought leadership and content partner. So we have various stakeholders from the industry, from the academia. We are seeing a lot of participation, more than 350 plus teams registered just in the last 4-5 days, which is a huge feat by itself, despite the force majeure conditions we have been experiencing with weather in the southern part of India. Quick elevator pitch about myself. I have 20 plus years experience, IT, ITES, banking, financial services, more recently in healthcare. Noted as a leader in ethical AI, Dr. Karthik Ramesh, also an alumnus of several of the IITs, IIMs. I'm super privileged to be here as an organizing secretary, working under the leadership of both Thryve Digital and IIIT Sri City to enable a success of this event. Now, let me quickly introduce you to the format of this event. Today's session is what we call as a pre-launch session. It is the day zero event, right? And in the day zero event, what we do is we introduce you to the hackathon, the themes. We let you know who are the people behind the scenes who are enabling this amazing prize money. Let me talk about the prize money. There's 6 lakhs up for grabs for all of you enthusiastic students there. And here is the thing. You don't need to be a technocrat. You don't need to be a geek. Today, with the power of generative AI, we are using the theme of generative AI prompt engineering even to conduct every aspect of this event, every aspect from design to execution, to production, to content generation, and also to development and coding. We encourage you to use non-plagiarized content, right? Non-copyright content. But please try to use the power of artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence, apply concepts of supervised, unsupervised learning, machine learning techniques, reinforcement learning techniques. You will see this as we later in this session explain to you some of the concepts which are going into building these, if I can say, enablers for the solutions. So the hackathon is typically an event where young minds like all of you come together, and with the power of technology, thanks to COVID, which propelled us into digital transformation, we are more into hybrid mode everywhere in the world, even in the industry. So today we are using this Zoom platform. This is being live streamed on a YouTube channel, which we will also share the details with you shortly. Do log in, for tomorrow's session. 9th December, we have another virtual session. And 10th December, this event is culminating in an in-person valedictory function to recognize the shortlisted top 3 winners who are going to walk away with the chosen prize money of 6 lakh rupees. So we have the first prize for 3 lakhs, second prize for 2 lakhs, the third prize for 1 lakh. But let me tell you, in the spirit of innovation, in the spirit of co-innovation, we want all of you to be winners. And I'm very happy to introduce, as you see in my background behind, not only do you have Thryve Digital, IIIT Sri City, Planotech, you also have 2 other important institutions. Firstly, I want to introduce Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research in Mudanahalli, Chikbalapur district, which is the world's first free medical college in India, where they are providing every year almost 100 free seats to deserving students on merit basis only. And the whole concept goes that you study for 5 years in this institute, in this college, and you come out and serve the nation. So the hackathon is not just about technology, it's not about innovation, it is about giving back. So all of you, we are encouraging you to think, how are you going to give back beyond this hackathon? So in this spirit, tomorrow we are launching the event, the inaugural event of this hackathon, while we are launching the statements, and you can start hacking from today, because we have a 72-hour week window, right from 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10 December, 10 December being the validatory function. Tomorrow, 8 December, at Chikkabalapur district in Bangalore, in Mudanahalli village, where Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research is headquartered, where we have the world's top 10 free hospitals, totally free. The only hospitals which do not have any billing department commit to treatment, to surgical outcomes, to pharmacy, everything is given free. And this also, I think, as you will hear from the Thryve leaders, aligns with their sustainability initiative of Thryve for Good, where they do a lot for the society. So we once again thank Thryve for coming forward. We will have a senior management representation tomorrow at the inaugural launch by none other than the humanitarian, spiritual, global leader, Sri Madhusudan Sai, a 44-year young spiritual leader, humanitarian, who's showing that spirituality is walking the talk, and how youngsters like us, how corporates, how academia, you can all come together and you can serve not just the nation, but the entire world. So today, Sri Madhusudan Sai Institutes extends across 10 different hospitals in different countries, almost 7 plus in India, one in Nigeria, one in, you have in Sri Lanka. Recently, once was launched as a clinic in Clarksdale. We'll see all of that live tomorrow. I'm not going to steal the thunder away from them. So do tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this YouTube channel, where we will be streaming live the entire proceedings of the inaugural launch of this function with the Thryve senior management team and IIIT Sri City leadership and Planotech team in person. We will be there at Mudanali district. Last but not the least, in the spirit of service, in the spirit of social impact, with all of the excitement of co-innovation, what is in for all of you beyond prize money? Some of you may ask, okay, what about the thousands of us who are participating who have not won 6 lakhs in prize money? Here is the cherry, here is the icing on the cake. We have IFAI Bharat, the Inventors Federation Authority of India, Bharat, who are coming together under the leadership of one of India's leading oncologist surgeons, Professor Dr. U.S. Vishal Rao, who is an IISc alumnus. He, along with Mr. Anand Kannan, have kindly agreed to, here's the good news for all of you, to actually give you a highly discounted membership of the world's leading inventor association forum. So those of you who come up with very good solutions, but do not make it to the top 3, still have an opportunity to work with IFAI Bharat, mentored by Thryve Digital, who will prune these solutions, who will go through, mentor these solutions post the hackathon. We'll look at the cycle of end-to-end innovation, which starts with ideation, which is going to happen the next 72 hours. You're going to hack, you're going to innovate. So from ideation, you move to innovation during the course of the hackathon. And post the hackathon, you can incubate with the support of Thryve Digital, with the support of IFAI Bharat, which is actually headquartered in Silicon Valley in Google's office. So how exciting can that be, that we have IFAI Bharat wing, the Bangalore chapter associating with us, and we will have Mr. Anand Kannan, the director of IFAI Bharat Bangalore chapter, with us in person at IIIT Sri City, one of the most prestigious institutes of eminence in the country. So once again, our thanks to our host institute, IIIT Sri City. Our thanks to our platinum sponsors, Thryve Digital. Our special thanks to Planotech, Mr. Darshan and team who have enabled this, as well as our technology platform, DevFolio. We will be walking you through the features. Now, that making this a very technology-driven, long-drawn thing, you are going to be mentally fatigued. We want to empower you with the right resources. We want to tell you, beyond technology, how do you practice stress management as youngsters, as young adults of the country, as future leaders? We don't want you to just go in and hack and spend 72 hours. We want you to have some learnings and takeaways. And towards this, what are we doing for you? We have a very special guest today, Dr. Sujata Kelkar, who is coming in, one of India's top leadership coaches. She's herself a PhD in toxicology. I will introduce her later. And a very, very special guest coming in live from California, San Jose, from the company Thryve, the Director of Engineering. We have KK, is our acronym, Kirtana Kumar, who's also consented to come in person and be part of the jury membership of this hackathon event. We also have professors, Institute of Eminent, professors coming in as part of jury members. We have the Deputy Director of United Nations Global Compact India coming in on 9th of December, addressing the nation, addressing all of the students in this event. So it is a jam-packed session which is ahead of you. All of you there, ladies, gentlemen, guys, girls, here is an opportunity not just to hack. Here is an opportunity for all of you to have great fun, immense learnings, chance to be mentored, as I said, by one of the top healthcare, solution providers globally. They are GCC captive here in Chennai and Hyderabad, Thryve Digital. And with that, I think, I have set base. I've also given chance to a lot of people to join. It's great to see the numbers increasing. I'm sure many of you, of those 130 plus participants, are joined in as teams. You're not joined in as individuals. So there are actually thousands of people watching this live. Wherever you are in the nation, once again, those of you joined late, pat yourself on the back. You are here today. And if you're not here, go through your contacts list, contact your friends, tell them, encourage them to register on DevFolio. The hackathon is going to be live shortly. And Harish, you'll need to let me know when you're ready. Harish Vardhana from IIIT Control Center. Can you please share the screen? Do you have privileges to share? Can you share? So
Problem statements are ready. Once
the speaker introduction, can I go ahead with that?
yeah.
Are you bringing up the screen?
Yes, Karthik.
Let's start with the speakers, then we will go into the problem statements. I want to spend the next 30 minutes with the Thryve Digital team. Let me know when you're ready. Are you presenting? Okay. As I mentioned,
the host has to give me permission to share.
Okay. I will make you the presenter. Hold on. The admin of the Zoom meeting, can you please give the privilege to IIIT Sri City to present? Or Harish, you can send me the PPT also on mail if you want to.
Yeah, I picked you up.
Ping me on mail or on WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
Okay. Let me bring it up. So you will experience Murphy's Law's syndromes in this hackathon. That is the spirit of technology. That's the exciting part of technology, the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity of technology. And COVID brought us into something which is called as Barney, brittle, anxious, non-linear, incomprehensible. So you will undergo all of these syndromes. Put your grit to basically test and make sure that you are able to join in here. Let me now open up the deck. Okay, so I'm going to, in the interest of time, give the stage over to a very special guest from Thryve Digital, who is none other than Mr. Srinivas A. He's the Chief People Officer. Sometimes we also use interchangeably the term in the industry, the Chief Human Resource Officer. So we have Mr. Srinivas Ayagiri. At Thryve, he has basically driven capacity capability building, transition, creating within the company an ecosystem of healthcare domain specialists. He drives the people agenda and helps Thryve become one of the most compelling healthcare global captive centers. Thryve Digital, for all the uninitiated, is headquartered in Chennai, and they also have an office in Hyderabad. Mr. Srinivas is also an industry veteran with over 30 years experience. He has worked in different domains, different brands, some very interesting ones I see here, Onida TV. He's also been in sales leadership roles at Citibank, ANZ Grindlays Bank, HSBC. Huge experience out there when it comes to BFSI. In 2000, he started his, I would say, career with the BPO industry, as it was called. In the infancy, he set up and propelled the growth in terms of operations across customer experience, supply chain, accounting operations in India as well as in Europe. He has led, several hundred employees and provided HR services to over 2 lakh employees across 50 countries. In many of the global HR roles he has played, especially one to mention here is the shared services of HSBC, leading banks captive. He's a certified risk management professional in ARM, and he's also an alumnus of the very, very meritorious and I would say illustrious India's first oldest B school in Asia Pacific, XLRI Jamshedpur. And he's also an alumnus of Osmania University, where he did his MBA Finance. Interestingly, here is where, I would say destiny conspires. He's already having the industry academia background. He served as an associate professor of the reputed IIIT University, where Mr. Srinivas has taught business analytics to MBA students. He's an active member of the local HR community, and he regularly participates both as a speaker as well as a panel member in various industry forums. Without much ado, again, over to you, Srinivas. We are looking forward to hearing from you with a lot of gratitude once again to Thryve Digital. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh, for the very exciting background that you gave about the entire event, the hackathon, what people can look forward to, especially the lakhs of rupees that they can make as prize money, and beyond that, even those who do not make the cut to get the financial prizes. What else is in store for them? It's really an event I'm sure all of your students are looking forward to over the next 3 days. I also want to thank you for the very detailed introduction you gave about myself. I can't imagine that it's already been over 30 years and I have traversed through multiple parts of the corporate world, whether it's finance, supply chain, customer service, and all that. And today I'm in HR. I've been with HR with Thryve Digital over the last 4 years, slightly more than 4 years, where I've been leading the HR function as the Chief HR Officer. But today it's not about me. Today it's about you and all your students over there. I really wish everyone who is going to participate in this hackathon the best experience, a learning experience. I know there are awards, there are rewards to be won, but from my perspective, where I'm sitting, I've been a constant learner through my life, and I encourage all of you to use this opportunity to learn about the industry, how you can, where is this industry heading, where you can be a significant contributor to the whole healthcare technology domain. And with that, I segue into who we are. Thryve Digital has been in India for about 7 years now. We started as a back office for our parent Highmark Group, and I will talk about Highmark Group in a very short while. We started doing very simplistic work, but then over the last 7 years, we have grown into a 4,000 plus employee organization, and we essentially break our organization, or rather divide our organization into 2 separate parts. One which takes care of innovation and driving healthcare automation and leading positive experiences for our customers in the US by using IT. And then there is the other part of the organization where we have business processes services, where we essentially are involved in processing claims, administrating benefits for various insurance related products, enrollment and billing, and other analytics work that we carry out. But your focus would be more on the digital solution services that we provide to our parent organization. Well, talking about our parent organizations, I will let me just briefly tell you about Highmark Health. It's a $26 billion organization based out of Pittsburgh, and we are essentially in Pennsylvania, Delaware, West Virginia. So our focus is very regional. We are not spread across the entire country. We are headquartered in Pittsburgh. We have over 42,000 employees. Okay, and we are probably one of the very few organizations in the world who play on both the domains. And when I talk about both the domains, I'm referring to the payer ecosystems, which I'm sure you have already heard about. The fact that we are predominantly an insurance company, and we call this the payer domain. Insurance, as you can figure out, is involved in paying out to all our to our customers whenever they have a medical requirement. So that's why it's called payer. And provider basically means providing the medical services. So essentially, we are talking about the chain of hospitals that we have. It's called the Allegheny Network. So together we are, and with the inroads that we are making into pioneering technology, we call ourselves a blended healthcare organization. We try to focus on all aspects of healthcare to the maximum extent possible, and giving the state-of-the-art, cutting-edge services to our customers who are based out of the US. Okay, I will not speak too much about get into too much detail about what we do on a day-to-day basis. I would expect you to do a little bit of research about the kind of work that we do and how you can contribute. Anything, I strongly believe anything that is gained by putting a lot of experience on your own, through a lot of effort on your own, it has a far more lasting effect on your ability to understand. And therefore, I leave it for you to be more curious about Thryve, more curious about Highmark, do some digging down, and understand what we do and how you can help us. With that, I will hand it back to Dr. Karthik Ramesh. I would also request you to excuse me. We have a large team based out of Chennai. We are going through a natural calamity-related challenge at this point in time. I need to be present in a different meeting. Actually, I think I'm a little delayed already, but I request you to excuse me so that I can be a part of that meeting. Thanks a lot, everyone. Over to Dr. Ramesh.
Thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas, and thank you for taking time amidst your, if I can call it, the BCP DR, the Business Continuity Planning Disaster Recovery Routine. I know, that's one of the reasons we don't have the Thryve CXOs also on this. But first of all, you can all react even virtually if you're not turned on your camera. You can applaud for Mr. Srinivas. He's here. He's the part of the sponsoring organization, the Chief People Officer. Those of you on the lighter side looking for placements should go and follow his advice, learn more about the company, connect with Thryve Digital. Thank you, Mr. Srinivas. We won't hold you, but thanks for those encouraging words. We hope to keep you updated on the progress of this hackathon and what the outcomes are. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah.
Have a great day, everyone.
Yes. It's a great honor and privilege for me now to welcome another very senior member of the Thryve Digital, if I can say, leadership team. We have Mr. Indusekhar Chandrasekhar, who's the Senior Vice President, Brand Marketing and Strategy at Thryve Digital. So I'm going to quickly give an introduction, and I'm very happy to do the honors here. Mr. Indusekhar drives Thryve's brand marketing and strategy agenda, and he works on it being the greatest place to be and I'll repeat it for all of you, the greatest place to be, I'm sure, when it comes to working for many of you budding, career prospects in the future. And he's also enabling Thryve Digital to be the greatest place to be with for the customers, for the partners, for the communities, and the entire stakeholder universe. Mr. Indushekar brings with him close to 3 decades of diversified experience across technology, management consulting, private equity, venture capital, startup entrepreneurship, media entertainment, e-commerce, consumer tech. That's a lot, Indu, and really, really salute you for the variety of experience you've brought here. His experience also includes 2 decades of key marketing leadership roles across strong tech IT service majors such as Cognizant, Infosys, and also IBM. He has also segued into the marketing and strategy roles in a boutique and pure play Silicon Valley startup, has tasted the life of being a startup entrepreneur himself in both health tech and media tech spaces. So he is the right person, when it comes to talking to us about Thryve Digital and overall about branding strategy and startups. The breadth of his experience enables him to play multiple advisory roles in the startup ecosystem, alongside, like Mr. Srinivas, as an academic teaching product management expert at the Institute of Product Leadership. I'm sure all of you have heard about IPL, not the Indian Premier League, but IPL as Indian Institute of Product Leadership in Bangalore. In an earlier stint as Chief Marketing Officer of Jupiter Capital, which is a Bangalore-based private equity fund, Mr. Indu drove the strategy, brand, marketing, valuation agenda for a diversified portfolio that included television channels, radio stations, newspapers, digital news properties, edtech, e-com, hospitality, and wellness. And he's had a very, very rich career in all of these segments. And most importantly, he is a key stakeholder of Thryve CSR strategy under the able leadership of the Thryve CXOs, Mr. Balasubramanian Shankar Narayanan, President CEO Thryve Digital, and Mr. Arvind Srinivasan, the Chief Financial Officer, both of whom are helping not just Thryve Digital battle, but they're also helping their own communities as we speak recover from the fury of the recent cyclone. And Mr. Indu, I'm sure, is going to talk to us a little bit more about Thryve for Good, which is the sustainability program to create meaningful impact in the key focus areas of Thryve Digital CSR, which is around health and community wellness. He has a Bachelor of Economics, Master's in English, and a Master's in Marketing Management from the reputed Loyola College, another Jesuit institute. Incidentally, I would say coincidentally, like XLRI Jamshedpur, comes under the same Jesuit brand. And he is currently pursuing his doctorate in business administration. Outside his work in academics, he's an animal lover and a fitness enthusiast. And I must add my footnotes here, Indu. It's been great to partner with you last 10 days on this event. Thank you for enabling this from Thryve Digital. We are very, very glad to have you here. Over to you, Indu. Thank you. Can we spotlight Indu, please?
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for that very effusive introduction, Dr. Karthik. As absolute privilege and honor to be a part of anything that involves young, aspiring, bright minds. Possibly with every passing year, the quality of talent that we have out there aspiring to make an impact on the world at large is getting better and better. And I'm sure this year's batch, all of the students who are going to be part of this hackathon are going to be bringing an incredible amount of energy and positive vibe into the kind of transformation that we can do at multiple levels. And again, when Dr. Karthik was speaking about multiple things, right? I think it's when you kind of ask the question why so many people are going to be part of this hackathon, the answer is clearly not the prize money, right? So there is much more to it than what drives it, which is possibly why even we've come in to partner with this ecosystem. And I was reminded of the Ikigai, the Japanese concept that talks about this entire bit around passion, profession, vocation, and mission, right? So when you look at the opportunity for healthcare to actually beautifully contain that all, especially with that mission piece of making an impact, which is why we have a line which says making the world happier and healthier, if you will, right? And I think the space that the hackathon focuses on around healthcare and is essentially an opportunity and a vista to open up the huge difference that technology, innovation, and creativity can actually manifest in the quality of lives of mankind at large. Right. So, and at Thryve, I think we've got the beautiful opportunity, like Trini was saying, to be at the vanguard of transformation. And oftentimes the expressions that I use is we live in the world of cover and care. Cover would be the insurance cover, and care would be the hospital network, and where possible to cure, right? And that is what it is all about. And the amazing work that our parent entity does in whole scale, holistic health is of a totally different order. Just the other day, there was a particular connect that, you did mention about me being an animal lover, and I was particularly triggered by some of the work that Highmark via Allegheny Health Network, which is our hospital network, does around how it's kind of connecting the dots between people who are pet parents and psychiatric help and things like that, right? So people who visit vets, how do you kind of get them into hospitals and understand their needs and things like that? So the kind of depth to which healthcare can go with the right level of intent and innovation. And I use the word very deliberately, right? Intent and innovation. Innovation for innovation's sake is pretty much flat on the face, right? But then intent, asking that, for some of you who might be familiar with Simon Sinek, the why are we doing this? And I think as Thryve and as people who are closer to the healthcare space, we personally find this a godsend. And many of you, as you're hacking in with solutions, right? I mean, many of you, for you, healthcare is another industry, and this particular healthcare hackathon gets you focused on that industry. But honestly, for some of us, for me personally, the last year and a half that I've been with Thryve from a very secular world of multiple things, it's been humongously rewarding because you're talking about longevity, you're talking about care, you're talking about healthcare experiences and all of that. And the more we focus on many of that, I think we, through the process, also discover to be a lot more human on how, as professionals, we can actually contribute towards making the world a better place. And at Highmark, we call it remarkable healthcare experiences. And that is what it is. And through the hackathon as Thryve, we are looking at the kind of thoughts that can come around this whole experience quotient, if you will, right? Technology, for technology's sake, again, to repeat, is flat on the face unless it looks at improving experience, right? I mean, everybody's talking about UX and DX and all of that. And the more we put the X factor into healthcare, the more we look at the X factor in the solutions that all of the teams that are going to be working on this are going to be hacking, I think the better the things would be. And it can pretty much become the crucible for innovation. There are a lot of things that not just us, but the world at large. And as you kind of incubate this through the ideas that you're getting with the mentors, and as you crack the entire hack equation out, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe in 24 months from now, some of the ideas that are going to be happening through the hackathon would actually be world-changing ideas, right? And the more we do world-changing ideas, the more the transformation we would effect. And it's not so much about going and standing on top of that pedestal and saying that, hey, I mean, we help change the world, but the honest appreciation or the honest gratification and satisfaction that can only come from saying that, we made somebody's life happier. And we are all in that zone, in that industry where we can actually make somebody's quality of life happier. And I'm looking forward to this hackathon being an opportunity to actually support that happiness quotient, which only comes from the right healthcare solutions, the right healthcare narratives, the right healthcare experience, and more importantly, the right healthcare agenda. And who more than students and academia to actually explore very unbridled, if you will, right? I think as businesses, we oftentimes get trapped in the agenda of specific customer requests. So at least at Thryve, we've got a huge motivation to kind of constantly innovate and all of that. But then if there is a time and a space and a zone where true innovation can happen, and that would oftentimes be in the academia, in the campus space, when the world is your canvas. And I'm really looking forward to some of the very powerful outcomes that I'm sure are going to emerge from this. And thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh, IIIT Sri City, and the entire team that is putting this together. It's been an absolute honor and a privilege to have something as connected to our raison d'etre, as we say it, our reason to be as an organization, to connect into the system where innovation grows, innovation is nurtured, and innovation, a very deliberate pun, where innovation thrives, right? And thank you so much once again for this opportunity. Really appreciate it, and looking forward to a very, very active next few days of totally exciting work. Some of our other leaders have been a little indisposed because of what has happened with the cyclone and everything. So though our physical presence might be a tad muted, I can promise you that our mind share, our attention, and our support would be absolutely full on. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Indu. It's absolutely a pleasure always to hear and interact with Thryve leaders like yourself and Srinivas, who just left the call. And I know, Indu, you're also in the midst of the same crisis. You're based in Chennai, so thank you for coming. And more importantly, thank you for being there on the valedictory function, which is happening on 10th at IIIT Sri City, where you will be moderating a very, very interesting panel discussion, right? So thanks once again for your partnership. I also have a very important guest from IIIT Sri City. It's good to see Dr. Sujata Kelkar Chetty dial in. Thank you so much, Dr. Sujata, for coming in early. We're just going through the works of the remaining agenda, so happy to have you as part of this session. So Dr. Divya Brahman is one of the senior professors of IIIT Sri City, who is representing, the I would say IIIT Sri City management, who are also in a way, I would say, battling with the aftermath of the cyclone. They're having multiple thought leadership sessions. So Dr. Divya Brahman has been a key person who has worked with us very closely in this hackathon, in both the editions, especially last year's edition as well as this year's edition. He's been a very, very important member, guiding us, helping us to kind of, enable the, if I can say, works behind the scenes. We are truly honored to have you here, sir, Associate Professor from IIIT Sri City. I would say he's an expert in several technology areas. He's done his PhD, if I'm not mistaken, sir, from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. And you're an expert in the space of research around electronics and electrical communication engineering, and you've published several papers, especially in the space of computational electromagnetics. Won several awards of eminence from IEEE. Participated in several research projects. Currently, also working on many of publications. If I can say so, you can go and Google Scholar search him for Professor Divya Brahman Kandimala. You will find several interesting papers. Do follow him on ResearchGate, follow him on Google Scholar and other Scopus Index journals where Professor Divya Brahman has made many eminent contributions. Sir, it's an honor and privilege once again to have you here with us. We request you to say a few words. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Okay.
Please go ahead, sir. I think you're on mute, sir.
Am I audible, sir?
Now you're audible, yes.
Full introduction, and I thank other sponsors for supporting this event scale, and being the higher education institution and institution of national importance. So it is a great privilege for us to be part of this wonderful event, where this is the second year we are doing it. And the amount of efforts that Dr. Karthik has involved into this is phenomenal, and we always see that how do we find this much energy and time for bringing this into one platform. Everybody is different leaders in different domains and bringing them to scale and making it as a huge success. And of course, for the participant side, it's a very good opportunity for you to test your knowledge, what you have learned in an education institution. And this is the place where you can demonstrate your skill set, and you can, first level, you can make it as a prototype. Next level, first level, it is a proof of concept and prototype. Who knows, tomorrow it can become $1 million company if your idea clicks. So this is the opportunity for participants to have good interaction with our leaders and get to know how to apply their concepts and how to see the real world problems. Because in a classroom, what generally you could see is about the solved problems or what are the problems that are existing in nature. But now in this hackathon, now the problem statements that are going to be released very soon, that actually that definitely questions your intelligence and your abilities to attack the particular problems. So it is a very great opportunity for us to be part of this, and our team also is very much excited for the next 3 days of event, and of course hope to see the people on here in IIIT City during the validation. And with that, I thank Dr. Karthik sir for giving this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Divya Brahman. Thank you also to Colonel Uma Shankar, the registrar of IIIT Sri City. And we have a very, very elite group of professors, Professor Arun, entire department. All of them have been instrumental in enabling. Of course, also, we've been seeing, recently, lot of events which are happening in some of these institutes of eminence. And we believe that these institutes of eminence are not just eminent, but they are also, I would say, force multipliers. And these force multipliers are the ones which are going to drive innovation, co-innovation in the future. So what we need to do is, in the spirit of industry, academia coming together, work together, collaborate, as Sir was mentioning, drive the innovation potential together, both from a research angle in terms of driving more publications, getting more patents, ensuring that the rubber meets the road when it comes to taking some of these proof of concepts or minimum viable prototypes, which he had very kindly spoken about, and converting them to reality with the help of mentoring from the likes of Thryve Digital, Planotech Group, as well as IIIT Bharat. Now, before we move on to Dr. Sujata's session in a few minutes, I want to also give you a quick run-through of what this session is going to unfold like for the rest of the 2 days. So I will ask Harish Vardhana from my team. Harish, can you please present, and can you talk a little bit about the timelines in terms of how submissions are going to happen? I know you're going to do a separate deep dive. You've created a WhatsApp community where people can look at links, they can look at live streams, they can look at aspects such as DevFolio. Those are the nuts bolts which we will go into, I'm sure, over the next few hours once the problem statements are released. But can you quickly talk about the timelines and other things, Harish? Are you able to share the screen?
I'm just sharing my screen. Let me know.
Not able. Now I'm able to see. Yes.
Yeah. So we have a separate document which has all of the FAQs, the timelines, and the guidelines. We'll be sharing to the participants in our WhatsApp channel. So this document will basically have the default setups of all the scoring criteria and all, along with total number of scores, the categories, and how we are, as a jury member, we are going to score them. So first we'll run you through the day-wise schedule. So at the end of day 1, we will be expecting the teams to submit a presentation which involves these 6 key points. The first point is, what are you trying to solve? So we will be giving the problem statements. And you would need to precisely share us like what are you trying to solve, because each of these problem statements will have a more number of categories involved. So if you're going to choose a specific niche segment, say it can be either the back end or the front end or be the integrations, you need to be specific in saying what kind of problem you're going to solve out of this specific problem. The second key thing which we look out for is how you solve it. And what are the methods you're trying to solve. The third important thing is the business model canvas. We call it the BMC. So this BMC is a template. You can search it for in the internet. It has segments. It has the customers. It has the revenue models involved. So this might take some time if you're new to designing a BMC. But again, this is our primary scoring criteria, because one slide of BMC will be able to evaluate your perspective of looking into a problem statement. So the next thing we look out for is the member roles. Like we need to understand like what are the teams involved, team members, their skill sets, and who is taking what roles and responsibilities. The next thing is the roadmap for the next 2 days. So the first 24 hours will be calculated based on how you plan for the next 48 hours. So that is one thing which we look out for as a team, time management. One of the key responsibilities of handling a hackathon is time management. So how much quality and quantity can you contribute in 72 hours makes a lot of value. And the last point is plan of action. Like if you're going to, if you're already prepared a prototype or a POC or a web application, what kind of application does it doing? Like how much percentage of progress has been made and how much percentage has been made live? What are the things that are running on the background? If you're going to outsource or take help from any cloud services like AWS or Azure, what are their costings involved? So all of these things need to be clearly mentioned before we actually put it as a plan of action. So this is in the end of day one. So at the end of day two, like for the first, at the end of day one, we will be choosing like top 50 teams out of the 300 teams which have applied for this hackathon. And the top 50 teams will be selected for day two. So at the end of day two, you need to be clear on your customer segment. Okay, you need to be clear on who is going to buy your solution. Okay, so that defines how well you have researched the problem statement and how well you have understood the problem statement before you build a solution. The second point is the architect and design. This might need some technical inputs from your side, from the team. And we need to understand like how exactly are you trying to solve, if there is any automation involved, if there is any reduction in cost or reduction in time. The next point is an enhanced BMC. Okay. The first day you'll be submitting a BMC where all of these details will be previously filled, but at the end of day two, we need to see an enhanced BMC where you need to showcase your pivoting skills. And you can say, for example, I predicted that this is supposed to be my customer segment, but today I realized that my customer segment has shifted from day one to day two. So this we call it as an enhanced BMC. We'll evaluate it based on the difference of your BMC from day one and day two. And again, member rules, roadmap for the next one day, and the plan of action remains the same. I think we need to see some changes in them. So the top 20 teams will be selected for day 3. And day 3, we would be requiring a video solution, which can be posted in online platforms like YouTube. And the duration needs to be in less than 4 minutes. It has to be made public. And the second is we need the same document, we need a PowerPoint presentation or a PDF, which has all of the charts, diagrams, tables to explain your solution. And you need to have supporting data like the BMCs and your teammates' skill sets, etc. And if you have a code base, say you have web application, and you can post the code in GitHub, you can share us the public link so that we can evaluate it from our side. We can score it approximately. So this is the success criteria. This is the weightages called for the solutions. So the first major scoring point is the consistency of the challenge statement. How relevant is your solution to the problem statement? Okay, there are two people who are already working on some other solution. If they are not a direct match or if they are an indirect fit, you will be scored accordingly. The second one is the originality. So we are a team of technical people. We would understand whether these solutions you are putting to the table are original or not. So we would understand the teammate skills and then we evaluate the originality of your solutions. The third one is the social value and impact. Since we are talking about healthcare, we would also be evaluated based on how much value you are bringing to the products. The fourth one is the quality and design. So we also look at the UI UX of your presentation of your web applications and the quality and the structure of your code. Either it's maintained as per industrial grades, industrial standards, even though it's not those your students. We'll be allocating like 15 points for quality and design of your overall solution. And next one is the commercialization. So all of your solutions needs to be commercialized at some point of time. Okay, right now it can be a project, it can be a POC, it can be a prototype, but at some point in time it has to be commercialized. And we look at the scalable factor at this point of time, where we allocate 15 points. And if you are already into the commercialization part, like if it's on the prototype state, you will be scored accordingly. And next thing is the innovation. We do have common grounds involved. For example, if I say like virtual reality, we have a very common instances involved. Then what different are you bringing to the solution? Is what innovation comes into place. So this has 10 points. The last and important point is the presentation. So it has to be clean. One major feedback which all of us give us during your presentation is do not have more words in your presentation. It has to be less and it has to convey more meaning. So you can use charts, you can use diagrams, you can use metrics, and it has to convey the meaning rather than talking about it. So these are the success criteria. We can discuss about these things even in our WhatsApp channel in the doubts and queries section. You can drop in your message and we'll be there to address them. So we are now going to talk about the schedules. So day one, today is day 0. We'll be sharing you the problem statements in some time. And once the problem statements are opened out, we'll be expecting the teams to initiate their plan of action immediately. And from today, we have time till tomorrow 11 p.m. That is day 1, 11 p.m. It's like 36 hours, like approximately. And we have time to design all of these things. What are the success criteria we have discussed. And then day 2, 2:30 p.m. the top 50 teams will be announced. Okay. And after the announcement of top 50 teams, they have to enhance their presentation. They have to submit it before the I hope I'm audible now. So at the end of day 2, 2:30 p.m., we'll be announcing the top 15 teams, and then you'll be initiating your second day stint, which will end at 11 p.m. You will enhance whatever you have done right from the BMC to your elevator pitch, and then you have to submit the day 2 deadline by the next day, day 3, 9 a.m. And by day 3, 12 p.m., the top 20 teams will be filtered. And then by day 3, 4 p.m., the top 5 will be selected to present their solution directly to the jury members to finalize the top winners. So this is going to be the schedule. I also have a more detailed FAQs and the schedules listed in a PDF, which I'll be sharing with you shortly in the WhatsApp chat. Yes, sir. That's it from my side, sir.
Thank you, Harish. Harish, you can stop sharing the screen. For those of you who have joined just now, that was Harish Vardhana, key catalyst of our IIIT Sri Cities Thryve Digital enabled Planotech supported healthcare hackathon, National Healthcare Hackathon 2023. Again, we're super excited to be here. We see a number of you logging in, more than 350 plus teams registered, which means we have thousands of participants, very close to last year's numbers. Those of you who joined late, I just want to give you a quick recap of why we are here today. This is the pre-launch day, day 0, as we call it. 7th December, we are going to release the problem statements, at the end of 2 expert masterclasses, which we have put together for you. Those of you who have not joined earlier, let me quickly tell you what we have been up to in the last 1 hour or so. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. And we started off the day, with welcoming one of Thryve Digital's Chief Human Resource Officer, Mr. Srinivas Ayagiri. He gave a very inspirational talk to the students. Thryve Digital, once again, for all of you, are our platinum sponsors who are enabling this prize money of 6 lakh rupees, which is up for grabs for the top 3 winning teams. So go for it, give your best, as Harish has explained. Create, with the right intent, without being verbose, but more, I would say, demonstrative in terms of your minimum viable prototypes. Try to pull out those nuggets of code. Use ethically generative AI. Don't plagiarize, don't infringe copyrights, but do see how you can use generative AI or low-code platforms to fast track your development cycles. DevFolio will be the final submission platform which the judges will use, and Harish will come back to you on the WhatsApp community which has been created. If you're not part of the WhatsApp community, Harish, why don't you go ahead and share the WhatsApp community details? Following Srinivas Ayagiri's session, we had Mr. Indushekar Chandrasekhar, I think he's still online, Senior Vice President, Brand Marketing Strategy, and he gave a very interesting talk to the students, took us through his experience, why Thryve Digital is proud to be a platinum sponsor partner. We had Professor Divya Brahman representing the IIIT Sri City management team, including, Colonel Uma Shankar, Mr. Balasubramaniam, MS, who is the co-founder, the founder CEO of Strat Infinity, and all of the other host of lovely professors who are enabling this from the host institute, IIIT Sri City. We already have our special speakers here. This is the moment we have all been waiting for. And the best part, ladies and gentlemen, is we are on time. Time is something which we like to upkeep. But before I get into, Dr. Sujata Kelkar's introduction, I want to specifically salute, the leadership of our platinum sponsors, Thryve Digital, their CXOs, senior management team, especially Mr. Balasubramaniam, Shankar Narayanan. And I would request really humbly my audience, do not forget to tune in to the launch of the hackathon, which is happening in one of the world's greatest social impact, I would say, greenfields out there at Mudanahalli under the leadership of Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai. But before I go to him, we have also the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, Thryve Digital, Arvind Srinivasan, and Sumit Kumar, the Chief Delivery Officer. You are going to most likely see all of them live tomorrow in the virtual session, which we are going to have post the launch of the official launch of the hackathon. Today is the pre-launch. And we have the prizes distributed by the CXO leadership team of Thryve Digital, Mr. Bala, CEO, Mr. Arvind Srinivasan, CFO, and Mr. Sumit Kumar, the CDO, along with Indu and other representatives of IIIT Sri City. So give it your best shot. Here is an opportunity for you to get it from the legends themselves when it comes to not just the prize money, but an opportunity to get mentored by the best, an opportunity to get, into the groove, if you will, in terms of co-innovation, in terms of hacking. Last but not the least, we humbly express our deep gratitude in advance to Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai for permitting us to launch this National Healthcare Hackathon tomorrow, 8 December, 10:30 a.m. at Mudanahalli in Satisai Premamritam Hall. And this is happening very adjacent to the plenary session launch of, the Rajeshwari Medical College, the world's only free medical college, absolutely free from KG to PhD. Already the Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence is doing an amazing job. We are very blessed, and we salute Sadhguru Madhusudan Sai for his humanitarian initiatives. We look forward to being in his benign presence, along with a very, very special institute of eminence in the medical fraternity, AIMS Delhi. So tomorrow, AIMS Delhi, along with Sadhguru Madhusudan Sai, are having a global digital health summit for 2 days, 8 to 9 December. If some of you who are in Bangalore want to go and attend and register, we will share the link on the WhatsApp community. Try to register early. You can hear from the experts. But for those of you who really want to be part of the hackathon hacking, attend the plenary session tomorrow, but go back to your hacking, because we will only take through the top 50 teams, then move to the top 3 teams on the D-Day, which is 10th December, in person at IIIT Sri City. Having said that, we strongly encourage, especially the student participants, not to attempt given the inclement weather conditions in the southern part of the country, a lot of recovery happening. The road to IIIT Sri City is inundated with water, thanks to the cyclone, which has been, very, very troublesome for a lot of us. And that's the reason why we don't have our Thryve Digital CXOs. They're actually on the roads, enabling their employees to get back to work in business continuity planning and disaster recovery mode. Moving on time to the most important part of the session, 3:15. We are here with Dr. Sujata Shetty, who has 2 decades of expertise. I was very privileged, before I go into a formal introduction, to be with her in the Indian Association of Congress as a co-speaker. That's my first interaction. And for me, she is somebody who embodies leadership, walking the talk, rubber meeting the road. Super impressed with her presentation there. She's a motivational speaker and an award-winning author of 99 Not Out, for all of you cricket lovers, which guides readers not on cricket, but on the cricket field of life, on leading a long and healthy life. She is an ICF certified life coach, and interestingly, in the theme of healthcare, a US trained toxicologist. She's done her PhD in toxicology from the reputed University of Kentucky. She conducts postdoctoral stress research at the National Institutes of Health. She's also certified as a resilience trainer. Dr. Shetty has completely dedicated her, I would say, most of her time, as far as I know, in the last 2 weeks of knowing her. I see her amazing talks. You can go to her official website, Sujata Shetty Kelkar, and you will find some amazing videos, amazing inspirational. But how better can it get for all of us today on this D-Day of this mega national healthcare hackathon, in the theme of wellness, in the theme of hacking together, bringing some productive solutions for national good, for social impact? What better way to start it with diversity inclusion by none other than Dr. Shetty, Sujata Shetty, who also is a trained, if I'm not mistaken, Hindustan classical music singer. She does some amazing music, renders devotional songs. She's a great humanitarian as well. But professionally, she focuses on empowering the clients, and more importantly, the young minds of India, especially the post-pandemic stress which we're all been undergoing the last few years. Even just look at what happened with the cyclone. It disrupted life. Most of us lost a lot of our belongings, thankfully not lives, but a lot of things went past us, making us realize, like COVID-19 did, that life is so temporal. Let's make best use of the time which we have. What better way to get together as intelligent minds, as academic, brilliance, along with the industry fervor, the thrust which Thryve Digital, Planotech Group, and our technology platform DevFolio is bringing to the fore. So without further ado, I'm going to request here Dr. Sujata Shetty to reveal to us the topic of her talk. I know it, but I want to hear it from her herself, and also let her lead us to aligning our life values for leading a more healthy, meaningful life. And in the spirit of not making this hackathon, a stress event where stress is welcome here, because we want to get to winning, we want to get to hacking the best solutions, but we want to do it in a way which is not impacting our health. Let me stop sharing the screen now, and I will basically spotlight Dr. Sujata Kelkar Shetty.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karthik, for that incredibly generous introduction, right? I think I've never been introduced, with quite so many, with so much exuberance. So I'm genuinely sort of and touched and quite energized. So thank you for that. We're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to be using a presentation. We're also going to do a few activities, right? So the whole idea is for this not to be something where I talk and you sit back, but the idea is that you learn a few skills that you can then use in your day-to-day lives. And the whole purpose of this exercise is resilience, right? Now, psychological distress and mental health issues have been on the rise in young people, and this talk is targeted towards young adults, but of course, the habits are applicable to all of us. And the age of onset of whether it's anxiety or depression has gone down. Right? There's no question across the world. Rates of self-harm have gone up. And what's interesting and what's saddening is that when we think about the pandemic, of course, it had its impact. It had its impact across all ages. Everyone was impacted, and mental health was impacted across all ages. The thing about that, though, is that amongst adults, that while there was a spike in incidence of anxiety and depressive disorders, that spike came down to baseline levels post-pandemic. It hasn't happened in young adults. So it rose during the pandemic and it continues to rise. So the incidence of anxiety and depressive disorders has actually been going up in young adults. So the whole purpose of this talk is to give ourselves some tools that we can use to support our mental health. If we're struggling with mental health, it'll be supportive. If we're not struggling with mental health, it'll still be supportive because stress is omnipresent. Now, with that, I'm going to jump right in to the talk and I'm going to share screen. Oh, I can't share screen.
Let me try to enable that for you. Let me make you as... Hold on. Sorry about this.
No problem. Great.
Is there another admin here who can do it? Harish or anybody?
He's already done it.
No, ma'am, you can do it.
Okay, great.
Just trying to get this to... Why am I not able to? Hold on for a second. There we go. Can you see that, everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
yes.
Super. So mental resilience for young adults post-pandemic, right? So now we're talking about how is it that we can help our young people thrive in this for them in terms of their mental health. Before we get into that, I want to talk to you about why is it that so many of us are feeling so stressed? And the reason for that is that the world has moved at a logarithmic pace, while our brains can only progress at a linear pace. And essentially what we're talking about then is that essentially what we're talking about then is that there's a situation where there is a gap, and this gap is not supportive for our mental health. Okay, so there's a gap between how the world is progressing, the way the technology is moving, and the way that our brains are evolving. Our brains are evolving slowly, methodically, as evolution works, while technology, because of the way that we've created it, is moving incredibly fast. And that's causing both an emotional and an intellectual overload on our brains. Just to give you an example, the photograph on the left is that of a computer in the 1960s. It had a memory of 5 megabytes. Today, the iPhone or any phone that you hold in your hand has several hundred gigabytes of memory, right? And you hold that computer in your hand and you use it for multiple tasks. It's like an extension of our bodies. So just in a single generation, if I look at my father's generation, right, over the span of sort of 60 years, all of this has happened. And the impact is rather vast. So when we think about our brains, right? If we think about our brains, it's an 86 billion neuron network. And while it works magnificently in many ways, one of its characteristics is that whatever part of the brain you use, it gets strengthened and gets strengthened and then gets strengthened. So we don't really have to get into the neurobiology here, but the two important players to look at are the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is a part of our brain that makes us human. What is it? What do I mean by that? It's a part of our brain that is responsible for deep order thinking, for problem solving, for you to be able to be doing this hackathon, right? That requires the prefrontal cortex. The amygdala, on the other hand, is the stress center of the brain, the part of the brain that is responsible for the fight or flight response, the part of the brain that essentially takes over when we're stressed. It's responsible for instinctive thinking, animalistic thinking, quick thinking, right? It's not interested in this sort of creative problem solving, compassion, kindness. All that comes from the prefrontal cortex. Now, what happens is that when we get stressed, and when we get stressed all the time, our amygdala actually undergoes hypertrophy. It increases in size, while our prefrontal cortex shrinks. This has actually been seen in overly stressed, chronically stressed individuals. Now, the worry is that our brain, plastic as it is, and by that I mean capable of engaging in multiple ways depending on how we train it, the worry is, if it gets so good at being stressed, can it go back to its original form, both in terms of physiology and in terms of ability? And that is a concern that we don't want any of our young people to have today, right? We don't want any of us, forget the young people, but also us to have to face. But certainly for young adults listening to this talk, it's important that you get certain habits in place to protect your brain from the stress that is inevitable and a consequence of living a modern life. So what do all of these people have in common, right? The answer is in the first slide, but we're going to go through this because I know we know who all of these people are, and we associate a certain ability with them, right? Whether it's Mahatma Gandhi or Thomas Edison or Oprah Winfrey or Nelson Mandela. It doesn't matter who we pick out of these, right? We all have a certain knowledge about them. And the knowledge that we have about all of them is that they are all or have all exhibited resilience. And resilience isn't something that is a reflection of that can only be a reflection of these people. When you look at J.K. Rowling, for example, you've heard about her extraordinary grit in the many, many times that she had to work to sort of submit her manuscript before it was published, right? And of course, Mahatma Gandhi, we all know what he went through. Each one of these people exhibited resilience and they got stronger. So that is the thing about resilience, right? What is resilience? Resilience is the ability to overcome the obstacles that life has the tendency of bringing forward into our lives. But it's also and also the ability to become stronger as a consequence of it. And that's what we've seen in these people. And we don't have to be these people to exhibit those qualities, to develop those qualities. Resilience essentially is a muscle, right? A muscle that we can train our brains with. So it is a muscle that our brains can actually engage so that we become stronger. And muscle is a wrong word to use, obviously, with the brain, because the brain is a massive network of neurons. But the idea is that just as you train a muscle and make it stronger, you can train your brain to become more resilient. So if you think of stress and the way that it puts us on a downward spiral, resilience puts us on an upward spiral. And to give you an example of resilient thinking, this is a tool that you can use when you wake up first thing in the morning. Think of all the things that you are wondering about in the day, right? What do I mean by that? I mean, think of the, perhaps this hackathon, right? You're wondering how your project is going to turn out. Perhaps you're wondering about whether you are going to get a particular job that you have interviewed for, or perhaps you're wondering if you will get a reply on a particular piece of work that you've done with a colleague. And with all of those questions, right, that you have put forth to yourself in your mind, think of the best possible outcome. Now, this thought experiment isn't designed for you to have disappointment. We're not setting you up for a disappointment. The idea of this thought experiment is to essentially remind you to focus on the positive, on the best possible outcome, because that gives you energy, and that also opens your mind to thinking about the solutions to that particular issue. How can you make that visualization happen? That becomes the mind's goal. So instead of it being, will this happen? We're imagining that this is going to happen. The best case scenario is what we're imagining. And then our mind naturally goes towards, well, how can I make this happen, right? So with the hackathon, it could be using a particular app, calling a friend in to help you, you might have another idea, right? That's not my expertise. I don't know which resources you could turn to, but it will naturally make your mind more resourceful. And also give you a mindset that fills you with energy rather than dissipate you, which is resilience. So I couldn't help but put this quote in from the Gita because it captures exactly what we're trying to do. It's from chapter 6 and it's shloka 6. And the verse says, for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his very mind will be his greatest enemy. So the point of this entire exercise is to make our minds our best friends, right? That should be our goal across our lifetime. And if we think about it, right, we often don't work on that. And if we start working on that from today, it can hugely impact our lives, not only in the context of work, but really in the context of everything that we do. Our relationships outside of work, our free time, what do we do with that free time? And we're going to get into that shortly. So easy for me to say, right? Let's build resilience. Let's just, make our minds our best friends. Why is it so hard? Well, it's hard because our brain struggles with 3 Fs. Can you guess what they are? I'm not going to proceed unless I get a few answers, at least 5 answers in the chat box. Come on. For some reason, I'm not able to see what's going on in the chat. There we go. Yep. Nice. Yep. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Pranavi, Akhilesh. This is good. Yes. Right? So there's several Fs, aren't there? And the ones that we're going to focus on today are fatigue, fear, and focus. And all of you had mentioned, I think, fear and focus. Fatigue was something that was missing, and fatigue is often what we don't realize is an important part of one of the things that we struggle with. Just trying to move the slide. There we go. Our brain isn't as focused as we think it is. Now, we often think our brain can work tirelessly, right? But the fact of the matter is our brain is moving from a focus to a default mode, seesawing really through the day. What is a focused mode? As the word suggests, it is a mode where your brain is focused and paying attention on a particular task. I'm hoping you are right now in this presentation. And the default mode is the wandering mind mode, which happens when you're bored. It happens when you have mastered a particular skill. And to give you an example, when a research study was conducted with dentists, and they were asked what percentage of the time when they were performing a particular task on a patient, were they in the default mode, or in other words, when was their mind wandering when they were performing a particular procedure on one of their patients. Guess what they answered? Just throw it out there. 10%, 50%, 90%, whatever you have to say, just throw it out there. I'm not going to proceed without you engaging. Okay, 20%, 69%. Wow. Yes, it's actually 60% of the time. So 60% of the time, dentists were not actually focused on what they were doing. Why is that though? Not because they were being unethical. They had mastered the task. So the brain just naturally went into default mode. And that's what happens to all of us. And why does it happen? It happens because we have all these open files in our brains. We have all these things that we can possibly think about, whether it's finances or our marriage or our children or world affairs. There are 2 wars going on right now, for crying out loud, right? The economy, our parents' health, right? Our health, the health of our friends. The list is kind of endless. And there's always a red flag, in one of these files, right? There's always a black cloud hovering around one of those files. And that is what draws our attention, because that's the way attention works. And we're going to get into that again very shortly. So the brain then is switching from default to focused, back to default, all throughout the day. Now, the problem with that is that it's in the default mode where we tend to get stressed. It's in the default mode where we get anxious. It's in the default mode where we have thoughts that make us feel depressed. So the idea then is to bring more intentionality into our lives. And scrolling social media, watching TV, these are all default mode activities. So the more you are engaged in what you're doing, right? And it doesn't have to be intellectual. It could be gardening, it could be cooking, it could be playing an instrument, it could be singing, it could be taking a walk in nature and enjoying the sights and sounds, right? Listening to music is something that feels like a default mode activity, but actually is quite soothing and regenerative. So music also works. To get into understanding default a little bit better, here's a graph that shows you what percentage of your attention you're using when you are in the default, when you are learning an activity. So when you're learning to drive, which is an activity that all of us learn by the time we're adults, 80% of your attention is getting used. When you have learned to drive, it's only 20%. So let's look at a few other activities. When you're eating, you're using about the same amount of attention as you would when you've learned to drive. When you're brushing your teeth, even less. And when you're talking to your significant other, even less, which is why now you know why when you've told your spouse something, they don't hear it. It's but natural, right? Because there's familiarity. And the brain is no longer focused because it isn't something that's novel. So our brain loves novel experiences. Our brains love pleasurable and meaningful experiences. One of my dreams was to visit Tanzania. And last year, I could do that with my family. And I remember every single, drive we took, right? Every single safari, I remember clearly. I do not remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I remember our safari. Or all the safaris that we happen to take. And that's the thing about memory and attention, right? So the key thing to remember about your focused mode, and you want to be in it, is that projects that are going to engage your brain's focused mode are ones that you find interesting, and meaningful. So ideally both, but at least one. So whatever it is that you're doing in your career, it should either be interesting to you or meaningful, and ideally both. So choose wisely, because that is what will help your brain stay focused. Now, people who engage your brain in a focused way are going to be people who are resourceful, people who make you feel good about yourself, right? People who make you feel worthy, and people who tell you fascinating stories. Fatigue was the second one we came up with. And how long do you think it takes for your brain to tire when you're doing something that is interesting? Again, I'm going to need you to answer that. How long does it take for your brain to tire? And remember, we don't have any pain receptors in our brain, so we have no way of actually gauging our brain fatigue other than indirectly, right? So we have indirect indicators when you feel like getting a cup of coffee, when we can no longer focus, when we lose our ability to be creative, when we lose our ability to engage with the material in a more in a substantive way. So we get indirect indicators that we are unable to that our brain is tired, but there are no direct indications. But I want you to throw out a number. Do you think it's half an hour? Do you think it's 1 hour? Do you think it's 2 hours? Do you think it's 3 hours? 20 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes? Yeah. Anybody else? After 2 hours? Okay. So less than 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 70 minutes. Okay. So exactly, right? All of us are coming up with varying numbers. And the reason we're coming up with varying numbers is that it really does depend on whether it interests us or not, right? So what brain research shows us is that it takes us 5 minutes to tire of an activity that we're not interested in, right? That we're not feeling is either meaningful or interesting. And about 60 minutes is the average. So we're talking about an average. For some, it's more, for some, it's less, as we just saw in all of your answers. But on an average, it's post 60 minutes that things start to get a little wonky, not ideal, right? So when it comes to fatigue, it starts to ramp up. When it comes to reaction time, it starts to increase. When it's accuracy, right? Accuracy starts to dip. When we talk about performance, it starts to dip, post 30 minutes for some activities. And for engagement starts to fall, like down, and you don't even need to wait for 60 minutes. It could be post 30 minutes. And fatigue starts to ramp up. So it really does depend on the activity. I've written here 1 hour of work and your brain needs rest, but I would honestly, given that our attention spans are actually shrinking thanks to the digital world that we live in, I would say give yourself 25 minutes of work, uninterrupted focused work, then a 5-minute break, 25 minutes of work, and then a 5 minutes break. Does anybody know what technique I'm talking about here? Have you heard of the Pomodoro technique? It's a really simple technique. And the idea is to give your brain a chance to reset. And the resetting does not mean that you are going to scroll social media or that you're going to check your email, but the reset, it actually means doing something like taking a walk, getting a glass of water. If you're going to watch something funny. Humor gives us energy. And something else that gives us energy is what we're going to do very, very shortly. Yeah. Distractions then are costly. So when we think about our attention and we think about how the brain gets fatigued, if we are distracted in a task, then getting back to our primary task becomes hard. And we lose our efficiency and we also get fatigued from it. So avoid multitasking. It is not ideal. It really does suck your brain's capacity and it makes us less efficient over time. So definitely stop multitasking unless you can avoid it, because sometimes you can't avoid it. But for most activities, try to find a way to shut all the other distractions down so you can focus completely on the task at hand. The third vulnerability I want to talk to you about today is that of fear, right? And the brain is naturally geared to protect us. It is geared to support us. And what that means is that if there are any threats around, the brain wants to perceive it immediately and do something about it. So whether it's a threat to our social identity, to our financial identity, to our physical identity, right? It doesn't matter. Our brain is looking for that threat and wants to address it. And that's when fear is on. So when I ask you to look at this page, for example, right, this particular slide, what do you notice? It's the obvious, right? It's the spider right in front of you. And of course, the spider is kind of omnipresent. It's right there. There is no reason why you wouldn't see it. But the point here is that for many of us, there is an irrational fear of spiders. We are irrationally afraid of spiders. Why irrational? Because spiders really don't kill too many people. In fact, donuts kill far more people than spiders do. Far, far, far more people, right? High fat, high sugar foods. We all know that they are damaging and a huge risk factor for lifestyle disease. Now, but when you see this donut, it doesn't scare you, does it? It doesn't scare me. I mean, in fact, depending on how tired you are and whether you had lunch or not, this might actually be something that you want to eat, right? Your blood sugar levels are low and you're tired. It would certainly give you that spike, that rush of energy that you need to get through the rest of the day. But we're not afraid of a donut, even though rationally we should be. So the point is that we have both rational and irrational fears. And the rational fears out there in our present, they were there in our past, and they will be there in our future. The irrational fears are the ones that populate our mind more frequently. And those are in the past in the form of hurts and regrets, and in the future in terms of concerns and fears. And they take over our mind, creating what we call attention black holes, where there's a kernel of negative thought. It's a fear, if you will. And then we're thinking about that negative thought over and over again. We're ruminating about it. And then we try to avoid being in the situation that would produce the outcome that we are afraid of. So it's like it's what we call an attention black hole. And some of us are more prone to an attention black hole than others. And those of us who are more prone to it are genetically prone. So there's nothing they can do, right? Some of us are more likely to get anxious, more likely to get stressed in situations, more likely to worry about the worst outcome. It's best not to judge each other. It's best not to say, oh, what's wrong with you? Why are you like this? It's just the way some people are. The idea is to support each other and use the tools that we know can work so that we don't fall into that attention black hole. And that brings me to the first core practice that I want to discuss with you today. And by that, I mean a practice that we actually engage with together, right? We've talked about a few, but the idea here is to engage with this practice right now, right here. And I'm hoping that you will take it home with you and use it through the next couple of days, and hopefully make it a habit. So it's called morning gratitude, and it is a morning practice, but you can engage with it any time of day. The idea of doing it in the morning is that it'll be supportive to you, and it will give you that lift that'll carry you, help you through the day. Now, gratitude is something that we know supports our well-being, our emotional well-being. We know that grateful people are happy people. We know that grateful people are also healthier people. Okay, it is a continuum. It's another muscle, if you will. It's something that you have to work to make it stronger. Some of us are, at an end of the spectrum where we don't feel grateful at all. There are those who are at the other end who are just grateful to be alive. It doesn't matter where you are. The idea is to practice it to support your own mental health and build your own resilience. So what I'm asking you is, if you are willing to give 2 minutes of your time, first thing in the morning, to think about your million net worth. What is that $1 million net worth? It's the people in your life that matter to you, right? So join me today right away to engage in this practice, and then you'll see how useful it is. Close your eyes wherever you are, settle into your chair, plant your feet on the ground, and let's begin. Imagine that you're waking up in the morning. Try to recall the color of the floor where you woke up. Now, think of the first person who matters a lot to you in your life. Recall that person's smiling face. And then send that person your silent gratitude, your silent thank you for being in your life. Now think of a second person. Go back to the first memory of this person, the first time you saw them. And send them your silent gratitude. Now think of the third person. Look into the eyes of this person. Notice the color of their eyes. And send your silent gratitude. Go back in time and look at yourself when you were an 8-year-old, right? Or a happy memory from your childhood. Recall your hairstyle at that time. And send a warm hello to your happy, innocent self. Think of someone who's passed away that you loved deeply. Give that person a virtual hug. Then send a silent gratitude to that person. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. I hope you have a lovely day. So the idea then is to practice this every morning. If you forget to practice this, then go back to your bed and start over, right? It's 5 people, and they don't have to be the same 5 people. There should definitely be the most important person in your life. There should definitely be you from your childhood, and there should definitely be somebody who's passed away, right? Those 3 things are really important. But the rest, the other people can change. It could be a colleague who really helped you out the day before or the week before. It could be anybody. It could be the security guard in your apartment building. It could be, and it's nice to get creative, because if you don't, your brain is going to go into the default mode, which you don't want. So you have to find 5 people that you can be grateful for too. And to make it easier, you can partner with somebody, right? Here it mentions a class, but it could be somebody in your life. It could be another friend. It could be your life partner. Doesn't matter. But the idea is partner with somebody so that you can make it a habit, and partner with somebody and do it for like at least 6 weeks to turn it into a habit. But it's not something that's not fun. It's not something that is hard, and it's not something that doesn't immediately make you smile, right? So there are pluses to it that are immediately sort of that can be immediately experienced, and I urge you to try it. Another gratitude practice that is quite fun and useful is to create a jar. So you get a glass jar and some post-it notes. And in the week, everybody in your family or in sort of, if it's a group of people that you live with your roommates, you essentially write down whatever it is that you're grateful for. At the end of the week, you open the jar and you take a look and see what everyone's written. And it might surprise you, because the important thing when you're looking to find things to be grateful for, right, unlike people, is that you come up with small stuff, right? And it's the small stuff that makes it meaningful, that gives you that lift. It doesn't have to be big things. Your life doesn't have to be saved for you to be grateful. You don't have to win a lottery to be grateful. That may be where you are, but that doesn't have to be the case, right? So the idea is to remember that we're moving up the continuum. We're moving from ungrateful to grateful for big things, to being grateful for small things, and finally grateful for adversity. And to give you an example of what that can look like, this is a biblical scholar called Matthew Henry. And of course, there must be thousands of examples from India too. We just happen to have him because his thoughts were actually recorded by him in a diary, and the diary was sort of available as a resource to us today. So he encountered a thief, right? And the thief stole his wallet. And when Matthew Henry went home, he wrote in his diary that today I was robbed and the thief stole my wallet. I'm glad, A, there wasn't much money in the wallet. I'm glad, B, that he stole my wallet and spared me my life. I'm glad, C, that he has never stolen from me before. This was the first time. And finally, Matthew Henry wrote, I'm glad that it was he who stole from me and not the other way around. So Matthew Henry's level of gratitude is what we're all aiming for, right? But when you've reached there, can you imagine how resilient you would be? Right? No matter what you face in life, you will see that silver lining. And in fact, you will focus on it and move forward. So the salient points thus far are that the brain lives in a seesaw state where the default or the wandering mode dominate unless we take charge. Why is it important to take charge? It's important to take charge because otherwise it's the default mode in which we get stressed. It's the default mode in which we have anxiety. So if our brain is intentionally paying attention to something, then we're avoiding getting stressed. But our brain has trouble focusing. It fatigues quite quickly and is prone to fear. These are vulnerabilities our brains share regardless of who we are, whether we're a CEO or a domestic worker or a student or an amazing sort of electrical engineer or a computer engineer. It really doesn't matter, right? We all have this issue. But uplifting moments can help to recharge the brain. Thoughts of gratitude are one such moment. It also helps you reframe your challenges so that you are not going to be as fearful. It energizes you, so it will help you remove fatigue. And it helps you to give your tasks meaning, right? Helps us focus and therefore build a more resilient brain. There's a lot more that I wanted to go through, but I see that I have 2 minutes left. Are there any questions? Would somebody like to share something or ask a question? Then this would be the time to do it. Okay, so looks like we don't have any questions. Is there something that that you struggle with when it comes to managing stress? Is there a particular aspect of your life that is particularly challenging that you would like to share. There isn't a question. Please feel free to share something with us. Because we're all going through something, right? We're all walking icebergs. Nobody really knows what's going on inside, but all of us have our challenges. All of us are facing something that's hard, right? And if we're not, it's a moment of lull, but we all know that there's going to be a storm coming soon enough. So it's important for all of us to know that we're all in it together. We're all connected. We're all in it together, and we can support each other. Yes, I think there is a question somewhere. There we go. Can't see it for some reason. I thought there was a question. Wasn't there a question? Sorry, I'm not able to see it. Let's see it. Oh, explain the unfairness of life. Okay. Oh, and it's a direct message. But I think, and we're running out of time. We're 4 o'clock. What helps me understand why life is unfair is based on Indian philosophy, right? Indian philosophy says that this world has been created with a particular rule in mind, and that rule is that of every action that we let out into the universe, either by our thoughts, our words, or physical action, has an equal and opposite reaction. Actually, I think karmically there's more that comes back to us. So, and this is across lifetimes. So whatever it is that we're dealing with in our lifetime, in this lifetime, is based on the way that we ourselves have behaved in the past, both the good and the bad, in terms of stuff that we can't control, in terms of the stuff that just happens to us, right? What we do with it is up to us. And that's why it's important to build resilience so that we can respond and not react. So we can do what is best in a particular situation. We don't lose ourselves to the negativity that is very easy to fall, to fall into, because the brain is very good at coming up with ways of retaliating. In fact, thoughts of revenge for the brain are like eating chocolate. It actually feels really good to have thoughts of revenge. And the reason for that is because when we were hunter food gatherers, it was something that was required for our survival, but we no longer live like hunter food gatherers, right? We live in a society where that is very different. And it's been differently created by us. We have civilized, so to speak. And therefore, it is really important that we use the prefrontal cortex that has been given and choose compassion, choose forgiveness, choose kindness, because that's where the true wealth for us lies, right? And that is what will help us with being resilient with all the struggles that we have to face. Thank you all for listening. I don't want to take more time. I think I've overshot by 2 minutes. Thank you for the opportunity again, Dr. Karthik.
No, absolutely. They say in Japanese, arigato gozaimasu, which is sincere, heartfelt gratitude. So I'm not going to say thank you, which may just be from the lips, but it is awesome always to hear you. And, if I can say within quotes, how do one handle life, right, day to day, given the kind of stress scenarios and pressures we have to manage. I think this is a very, very insightful, very timely session. Thank you, Dr. Sujata Kelkar-Shetty, for your amazing session, as always, keeping us engaged. I think the reason also there weren't many questions, people found the answers they were looking for, or they are soul searching, or, the truth is out there and they're going to self-discover it using some of the techniques you have shared. So thank you for being with us. We really appreciate this amidst your hectic schedule. And we hope to at least have you virtually join us for the valedictory function on 10th of December. I will share the link with you.
Thank you, Dr. Karthik.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I think that was very, very engaging. And we already have our next speaker, who is none other than Kirtana Kumar. I'm just going to spotlight her. And before I get into her introduction, I should say one thing is that I really appreciate this Kirtana, or KK as we call her, for those who know her well. Trialing in at 7 a.m. in the morning from California is no mean thing, and it's not easy for most of us. So thank you for being here. 7 a.m. dialing in from California. She's an engineering leader par excellence in the world famous, I think, financial fintech company, if I can say, Stripe, and she's also played leadership stints at companies such as Microsoft. She's been alumnus of some very, very notable institutes in United States of America, including University of Texas, where she did her undergrad. In fact, when we were speaking about the hackathon, KK told me that her connect with this theme of national healthcare is she did her undergrad in biological sciences, so she feels a connect with this. But most importantly, today, I think she uses techniques of design, system thinking, MVP prototypes, all of these things which we discussed at the beginning of our session, which even Harish touched upon as evaluation criteria and submission guidelines. All of this is where I think she breathes in, day out with customers, especially in an international context. So she's here with us to tell us, how do you hack solutions? How do you go about this whole hackathon? And I'll also be failing in my duty if I don't tell you a very interesting thing about, KK. I basically look at her as a mentor for all of you young people out there. And coincidentally, this was running through my mind, KK, that, I put you kind of in a mentor profile, technology mentor, and that's exactly what you have messaged me, that she is today the technology mentor for Y Combinator, a leading accelerator, Y Combinator companies, and she has mentored several early stage startups, both in the space of health tech, financial tech, as well as educational tech. And KK is also, I would say, an amazing speaker. I've heard her in few academic sessions earlier when she visits India. She's very passionate about what she speaks. And she's a big believer, which we all are in terms of diversity and inclusion. And I must mention, KK, it's truly an honor to, first of all, have had Dr. Sujata Kelkar, a wellness coach, if you will, following her, a technology mentor, expert who has studied in the best, working in the best, and going to help our audience here deliver their best. Welcome aboard once again, KK. Over to you. Thank you. Can the admin make a presenter?
Yeah,
Please make
thank you. I think I have presenter preferences, and I think I can share my screen. Yeah. So I think we're good. Great. Yeah, so I think we should be good. Okay. Give me 1 second as I just kind of keep this all clean and neat in my this thing. Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Karthik, for introducing me in such a beautiful way. I am really excited to spend and kick off the hackathon with you all. I'm going to really quickly share my screen and then we'll get started. This will be a session where I walk through things as well as open for questions. So if you do have questions as I talk, throw them in the chat. I will answer them as I go or in the end of the talk. If you do also have other questions that's not related to talk, related to technology, feel free to put them in and we can use the time to do and discuss those things as well. This is an opportunity for y'all to have time with me. All right. I think that will, sorry, trying to get the presenter view right up and I think I'm not able to share my screen. Give me 1 second, Karthik, if I need your
Harish, can you, or anybody who's there in the admin team, can you just, the administrator of this meeting, because I myself am a co-host, can you please enable?
Let me check. Yeah. I think this should work now. Is it working right now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Awesome. Okay, I think there was like an issue with my Zoom. Great. hello world. I am, as Dr. Karthik gracefully introduced me and given this opportunity, I'm KK. My full name is Keertana Kumar, but I do go by KK. It is an honor to kick this off because I think before anything, I have to say that, 11 years ago, I was in the shoes just like one of you all. I was participating in my very own hackathon when I was in school in Texas, and I had the incredible opportunity to do this. So first of all, really excited that y'all get to have this opportunity. 11 years ago, this was an open technology hackathon, not a specific field. Me and a friend of mine decided to build a virtual piano where we had a camera track finger. So we had like finger tracking mechanisms and an algorithm to write that, and play a virtual piano that was on screen. So you didn't have an actual piano. That was motivated by the fact that we were all in college and we were not able to have musical instruments all the time with us. And so that was kind of a motivation. It was a 48-hour hackathon, sort of similar to that. This picture is here because we actually won one of the awards right there. And the core memory I have from that night and from that whole event is, as it was sort of about 2:30 a.m., me and my friend, we were like trying to figure out how can we exactly figure out where the finger is versus, which of the fingers it was so that we can kind of track it. And it, suddenly something clicked exactly around this like 2:30 a.m. It is so fortuitous because actually right now today, I am sitting here across the world from most of you in California. It's about 3 a.m., 2:30, 2:40 a.m. here. And I am as excited as I was at that moment today and now, because it is an honor to, kick off this hackathon, because hackathons to me just are a place for innovation, creativity to come to life in a quick way. I mean, I've since had an incredible career in the tech industry and led several large international projects, including my time at GitHub. Some of you will be using GitHub through the thing. And my mission in life is to foster collaborative teams, collaborative environments where innovation ignites, where creativity thrives, and where people go beyond boundaries to solve world problems. And to me, this moment where all of you all have come together, formed teams, decided to work on a project, have ideas up there, to me, this is working towards my mission. And so I'm really excited to be here with each of you. So I know this is my backstory, but what I'm here is to share how can you solve for success. There's two ways that I want to take this entire time. One, specifically about this hackathon. How can you solve for success at this hackathon in the next 3 days? And secondly, how does those experiences and those factors and ideas that you use in the hackathon to solve for success, how does that translate to your post-hackathon life? Because 11 years ago, if I had, really come to understand that like the things that I was doing in the 48-hour hackathon really replicate in larger forms, in longer sprints of time in my career, I would have taken account to everything I was learned. But through the last 10 years, I've really learned that is the things that you learn and have an opportunity to experience outside of the classroom in solving real problems in the world are very transferable skills to being successful outside too. So in order to solve for success, I think the main thing here to note is that you have to figure out what you're solving for. So what is the problem that you're solving for? And that to me is the first step in design thinking framework. So what is the problem? How do you go about thinking about the problem? I think it's very obvious when you look at this, and I realize that the framework can be a little bit obvious, but the more obvious the framework is, the more applicable and more real and more useful it'll be. So to me, this stage of a product development cycle, as I say, is the information gathering phase. And I think the hackathon process actually allows you to do it. So it's really interesting to see in the first day that you have to come up with the problem statement. But it's not just about the problem statement, it's understanding what the problem is. And so to me, asking the questions, right? Where am I seeing the problem? Who is the problem impacting? Why is the problem existing in the first place? And maybe you may not even phrase it a problem. This is something that is missing in an experience. And it'll be in the real world, sometimes we have the opportunity to actually talk to the users of the problem that we're solving. And that's the same thing for you all. You may be able to talk to mentors and other people in the healthcare industry available to you to ask those questions. What are you doing? What are the areas, and what is your workflow like? What can I make and what can I innovate on? Because innovation starts when identifying what the problem is. There are two ways to go about this identification process. One is user interviews, is what we call it in the industry, but essentially interviewing a potential user, asking them these questions, taking down notes. The other way is to actually observe somebody in their action and in what they're doing, and seeing the problem that they're facing and finding an option. So in the first part of this whole process of solving for success is identifying the problem. I know there are a lot of hundreds of teams here, several different individuals here, and you might wonder, hey, if I pick a problem to solve, is another team going to pick a problem to solve? First of all, there are unlimited problems to solve in this world, and to innovate and create. So it'll be exciting to kind of see which problem each one of you will pick up as you take on the challenge of this hackathon over the next 3 days. And to be honest, this is the same thing in the world. There are unlimited things that we can fix and find solutions for. So step one, what is the problem? Once you know sort of the problem, the second stage of the design thinking framework to me is almost as critical as everything else, but probably one of the most top parts, which can really change the way that you go about solving the problem, is defining the problem. How is it different than what is the problem versus defining the problem? So let's say, for a visual perspective, let's say having a box, this box is the problem. You can actually look at the box in many different ways. You can take the box, you can look over it, you can look on the side, you can look through the corners, you can maybe open the box and look into the box. Maybe you close the box and you're completely outside the box, right? And that's outside the box thinking in some way. But the thing is, you can look at the problem in many, many ways. And depending on the way you see the problem, you will approach it in a different way. Now, let's say another way to see this is in a user study that you're doing, or in questioning process that you're doing, you see this is the current state of the world, right? For example, this is exactly how people use a pencil. Let's take that as the problem, right? People use a pencil this way. What is the desire state? I want people to be able to use the pencil the other way. There is a gap between the current state of the world and the desired state of the world. And this gap is the problem that you're solving. So sometimes it is important, as much as it's important to find the solution and go right into, I want to do this, I want to build this, I want to build that. And I know, because I've been there, getting really excited, reading the problem statement, like, oh, I know what to do for this. Before you go there, take the time to say it and actually define, this is the goal, this is the problem that we're solving. And if you think about it, this is the current state of the world, this is my desired state, end goal, and that gap here is the problem that you're solving. So at this point, I do want to take a moment and talk about a pitfall or a mistake a lot of, not just us, everybody in the industry does, is when you're doing this problem analysis and state, like, if you jump into solutioning right away, and this is one of the main problems that happen, is if you know about Henry Ford. Henry Ford is the founder of Ford companies that has some of the best cars in the world. And when he was creating his car, he said, like, hey, if I went around asking people what they wanted, they would have just said, I wanted faster horses. Because at that point, everybody was going from point A to point B with horses. And people have been like, I just want faster horses, which is user research. You ask them, what do you want? And you kind of say, hey, you want a faster horse. So if Henry Ford had actually gone about doing it, he would have just found a way to see, okay, maybe I can feed the horses more. Maybe I can, breed for better and faster horses. Maybe thinking a little bit outer, maybe like, oh, we should make the path better for horses at much. But innovation and creativity and like next level technology happens when you actually do something that users need, that they don't know they want, right? And so with Henry Ford, the way that he defined his problem is not, oh, the users need a faster horse, so I'm going to build a faster horse. He actually took it from a different perspective. So a person needs to go from point A to point B faster. How can I make this happen? How can I make said person go from point A to point B faster? And he started thinking about other ways to move people from one point A into point B. And now that is history. We have cars. We are starting to have cars that drive itself and solving other problems. And innovation has taken another step up. So this is the way that problem and definition work. Now that you've defined, you've identified the problem, you've further defined the problem, and of course, to solve for success, we need to find out the solution. I'm sure everybody is like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do this. This is the solution for this, right? Like you jump into the first solution that comes to mind. And if you say, hey, maybe no, I actually like take my time. Think about the time when you take look at a project, or you have a end of year project, or any of the things that you write, like actually solving a problem for. You read it, like this is the one solution I think, and you go for it, right? Right now in the hackathon, it's an opportunity to practice the third principle in design thinking, which is brainstorming. Identifying what is the solution. So as soon as you've reframed the problem to kind of define the actual gap, you can start brainstorming. Now let's take an example here, right? Like I want to find solutions to light up this room that I am in. There's different ways to solve that. You all know, right? Like I can say, hey, I will light up a matchstick every time I want to light. I want light in this room. I can light it up. That's one solution. Okay, I can actually have a candle. I light up the matchstick and light the candle. That's going to give me light. Okay, that is another solution. The next solution is let's say like, oh, candles die down. Maybe I have a light bulb, a single light bulb that lights the room. Great. That's another solution. Maybe I can have LED lights all over my room. Great. That's another solution. Maybe I can bring the cricket stadium light that kind of, it's so bright, it lights up the entire stadium. I can bring that here into my room. That'll still light up the room. They're all different solutions that still solve the crux of the problem, lighting up this room. So the key here is I went about not dismissing any idea, but just taking it all in. So this sort of the third stage of design thinking is being open to the solutions that exist in around you. Taking time to do this. This is critical because the more solutions you have gone through, you can kind of evaluate which of the solutions truly solves for the problem in this time and space and the constraints that you have. With respect to the hackathon, right? Like, it's not just important to show that there is a solution, but you need to show the solution is the right solution for the problem. It is the correctly scoped solution for the problem, as we heard earlier today. And you want to build, in a way, a synopsis of the solution that can solve that problem. So that is the third step in this process, right? We've gone through a lot, but we're only 10% way through. In the life cycle of product development, we're only 10% way through. So now that we are there, what's next? Okay, we have some solutions in mind. It is, as we all know, building a prototype or an MVP to build that product. Here I want to say, like, I've heard the word MVP, prototype, but MVP really stands for minimum viable product in the industry. And what does that mean, right? This is a great example of an MVP. To build a car, you build like a simple, pencil prototype, and then you're building like an MVP. But an MVP isn't just the wheels of a car. An MVP isn't just the door of a car. As you build the MVP, the key thing to remember is what is solve for the problem that you have. The solve for the problem in this case is going from one place to another. Maybe the MVP, instead of this sort of big car in a hackathon, can be, can I get a cycle? Or can I get a auto, or like something smaller, right? Like anything that's still solving for the net problem is considered an MVP. So it's key here, because I think a lot, even I've been in this situation where I have looked at, in the industry, looked at a problem, said, hey, we can scope it down. I don't think we'll have time to do all the things. And you will be in that situation entirely in the next 3 days, that you cannot do everything you want to do, and you'll have more ideas than you can actually achieve in the short time. So time as a constraint should be a key factor as you decide also what your MVP is. And the key thing here is you can start big, plan this is our larger picture that we want to achieve, and then bring it down, make it smaller and smaller. Every step of the way should still prove as a solution to your original defined problem. So every little MVP should be a solution. Here's my favorite part. As you're building the MVP, as you're building the problem, as you're building through the solution, you will hit roadblocks. I'm going to tell you to accept this right now. There will be times in the next 3 days that you feel like, did I come up with the right solution? Oh no, was this the right problem? Is this the right technology to pick? Is this the right format to fix it? Should I pick something over another? You start hitting roadblocks. You might be, if you're like me, you will open 15 other tabs on your computer, start reading everything. You're like, maybe there's another way. You're going to feel like you hit a true roadblock. I have to tell you, everybody's been there, and everybody in your rest of your teams will also be there. The key thing is two. One, don't forget that this is just a small roadblock and there is a larger problem that you're fixing. The second, and the most important, is time management. I cannot stress how important it is to note that you need to get your solution or a prototype done in 3 days. If I have to take it up to something, sort of a 6-month project that we do in the industry, time management is also as important. So this factor that you will learn as you go through the hackathon, applicable across. So how do you time manage? Time management is interesting phrase to throw in, but there's a clear way to do that. What we do is called time boxing. So we take a time. So let's say in your hackathon, you say, okay, for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to still try to solve this roadblock. I'm going to find a way to go across the roadblock. And so this is called time boxing. Like you don't go hours and hours, or maybe 3 hours in, you're like, I'm still here. No. For 30 minutes, you decide to have a structured time box and say, okay, next 30 minutes, I'm going to just think about how to fix this problem, whatever roadblock you hit. In the real world, it's usually more than 30 minutes. Sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's half a day, depending on the size of the project, size of the problem, and the importance of that roadblock. So even for you, you can choose your time based on how critical this roadblock is to solve, is for solving the larger problem, right? Like for instance, if it's like, hey, this is one option and I'm stuck in this, this is when you choose to be flexible with your solution. And I think in your format, in the hackathon format, day 2 allows you to refresh and say, hey, we thought we were going to do this. So, but we realized through some research, some work, some digging in, some prototyping, that it's not going to work. It is okay to be flexible with that solution and pivot. And that is, I think it's beautiful that it's part of your hackathon process, is to pivot from your original solution. And this is where the solution brainstorming process allows you to be much more quicker with the pivot, because you already have a resource list of solutions that you can pick from, that you can use for your sort of thought process. So if you hit a roadblock, you're like, I have already spent your time box amount of time. One, is it actually important for the solution? If it is, switch the solution. If it isn't, move on and see whether you can still build an MVP without that thing. Now that this is one of the most critical things, I think the next piece that I want to share with you is the 5th stage of the design thinking framework, which is iterations. True, in this hackathon, every single day, you have a point where you can say, we are going to reiterate, we are going to improve our version, we are going to improve our idea, we're going to improve our implementation. In this entire thing, you're never going to get it first the right time. We all don't, but your starting point is a starting point to get to something bigger. So think about it as a iteration to something bigger. So iterate. At this point, I want to share one of my favorite stories, favorite things that I've ever read that talk about iteration. Here we have a Heinz ketchup bottle. This is just a ketchup bottle that people use. Heinz is a great, it's a company, and this is a real story. This is exactly what Heinz did. Heinz had this ketchup bottle, so when people use this, they'll open the bottle, they'll toss the ketchup on their plate and eat fries or eat anything, right? Like with ketchup. But they also noticed that, when people were doing that, they'll keep, if you've ever used a ketchup bottle like this, a Maggi bottle, whatever, they notice that people will when there's less and less ketchup in the bottle, people try to really hold and use the bottle to get the ketchup out. Now, they realize this is a problem. So they actually identified the problem. They defined, hey, I want to make it easier for my customers to get the ketchup out quicker or more efficiently. So they came up with a solution and they said, let's change this plastic or glass bottle to something that is squeezable. So they actually reinvented ketchup bottles and completely changed it to something they can squeeze. So now when someone wants to use ketchup, it's not like hitting the bottle down, but also just squeezing and the ketchup comes up. Great. I think they found a great solution. Now here is where iteration makes a difference, right? After they did this, they didn't stop there. They continue to get feedback. They continue to look at the questions, to continue to find ways to improve, because we never stop improving. And that's when they realized, see, for the most part, this ketchup squeezing method worked. But when it came to the last 10% of the ketchup remaining in the bottle, it still got hard, because once you open the bottle, you turned around and you're still waiting for all the air that is collected on top of the ketchup to come out before actual ketchup comes. So it was, again, an actual problem that users had. So they had this brilliant idea to just flip the bottle upside down. Until that point, no one had done it. in sort of in the food industry, and they literally just flipped the bottle, made the cap of the bottle something that can actually stand on a counter, stand on a table, and that way ketchup is always close to the exit point, and customers could use the entire bottle. This is the iteration strategy that, I mean, this is obviously over multiple years and lots of work, but think about this in your own hackathon, right? You will start with an idea that will solve for the problem. In the end of the day, your problem will and the solution and the things that you're fixing and solving for remain the same. But you will iterate through even the 3 days here to kind of rethink what ketchup and what your ketchup can come out quickly, right? So I have now iterated. Is that it? Are we 100% now? We started at 10% of the solution. We have, built an MVP. We've iterated. Are we there yet? No, we're only 50% there, because the last part of the framework is a little bit more. It's about getting an idea out. Every brilliant idea finds its true worth only when sold. This to me, immediately, I immediately go whenever I think about idea being sold to an example. Like we all know, we're all now familiar with the iPhone that we have, right? An iPhone exists. At that point, when the iPhone exists, everybody was used to it. It started being a more common thing that people had phones that did a lot of things. We also knew we had computers at this point, and computers were built big, being able to do everything on the computer. But that's when Apple created an iPad. First of all, people were very confused. The iPad is bigger than a phone. Why do we need it? Like, it's very clunky. I can't take it around. It's also smaller than a computer, less powerful than a computer. What's the point of the iPad? But Apple had a great idea, but they also knew exactly how to sell the idea. We had Steve Jobs standing in front of a large auditorium, large space, the entire thing being telecast around the world, selling a concept that nobody knew they needed. He sold the idea. He said, this is how, a designer could use to draw their thing on the go. This is how education can get reformed as students read books, not every single large book they have to carry in the backpack, just one iPad to read their books. It truly revolutionized the way technology was used, once again, bringing an entire market of tablets into the world. The thing is, the idea is great. The execution, they've executed, they've iterated. But the thing that made the difference is somebody telling the story, selling it to you, saying, this is why, this is the product you need. And so your idea, the same, and how much ever you kind of come up with the design and you do the work, you might be the smartest engineer out there writing the code, all that aside, your idea will only do if you sell. So the last piece of the design framework and to be successful in this hackathon is figuring out what is the story. I understand we've gone through the process. We've identified the problems. We've figured out the solutions. But note that your prize money, your victory, and this is not just in the hackathon, even in the world, a product is successful when you share the story. So I want to give you a few tips of mine that can best get you equipped for actually sharing your story. 1, remember, solutions seem straightforward, but they're personal. They're your solutions. So make a story, a compelling story that is part of your solution. If that is using clear visuals, clear, concise language, whatever the format may be, it's your story. So you know it best and you know how to say it best. But remember, there are people who are listening to your story. So use 3 ways to think about your story. First, how can you say the story in 1 line? So if you can say it most concisely in 1 line. So how can I say the story in 1 line? Second thing you can do is, how can you say the story in 1 minute? This, I think, is what we had it in the hackathon sort of method, is like an elevator pitch. How can you sell the story in 1 minute? And for those who don't know, the reason it's called an elevator pitch is because, you get into the elevator with someone really who wants to listen to your idea, who has money for your idea, and you're pitching them within 1 minute before it goes all the floors up to convince them this is the idea to get to invest in. So if you have 1 minute to sell your idea, how would you sell it? And finally, if you have 1 hour to sell your idea, how would you sell it? So it's a 1 line, 1 minute, 1 hour. Everything in the middle is a subsection of it. But think about it as all 3 things, because it'll help you figure out what is the right story to tell this audience. So in your hackathon, as you're preparing your final output, actually your output in every stage and every day, think about your story. What is my story in 1 line? What is my story in 1 minute? And what is my story in 1 hour? Everything else will work out. So we're 100% there. Really not 100% because we're always going to be iterating. We're always about 95% there. And we're going to iterate and we'll still be at 95%. And that is the joy of building product, building something for the world, because the world is constantly changing and your solutions will constantly change. So I want to leave you all with the 3 takeaways from this talk. Just 3 things, if you remember, be successful. 1, find an idea that's worth solving. You can solve many things, but find the idea that's worth actually solving. 2, execution is iterative. You're going to continue to change and iterate over every single time. The last and 3rd, success is actually in selling. As much as of a great idea and great way you have to do it, success is in how you sell your idea and execution. With that, I will end my talk. I'm open to questions, but I want to have you all take away one more thing. Is this 3 days is going to be incredibly fun, and incredibly challenging and incredibly exciting. So get really pumped up and just go have fun, because you guys are going to innovate some awesome things. So with that, if you have questions, throw it in the chat. If you have other things, feel free to unmute and come and ask me. If not, I'll wait. So I'll keep a moment to have questions drop in. I see no questions. Totally fine. I know that you're all excited to go and work on your own projects. So Dr. Karthik, if we want to I'll hand it to you.
Yeah, I think, KK, that was absolutely amazing, a presentation, not surprising at all. I think there's something coming on the chat window. I'm not able to see it. Harish, do you see a question there? Was there a question on the chat? Something popped up on the chat.
That was me, Karthik. I just mistyped it now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I think thank you, KK. Absolutely amazing to have you so early on in the day. I don't know who would do this across the world. Always you inspired me with your knowledge, your experience. And it's always nice to hear a personal anecdote. Like for the previous speaker, I would just say that maybe the audience was so spellbound that everything was so clear, or they are so excited, as you mentioned, to go and hack, that they are eagerly awaiting the announcement of the problem statements, which Harish and I are going to do. But we will look forward to having KK in person. She's going to be one of the chief jury members here for this event. She's going to be present with us in person at IIIT Sri City. In fact, she's flying down to India, to Chennai to be precise, and driving down to be with us. So she has an elevator pitch there also. So those of you who are going to survive this 72 hours are not only going to get a chance to win the prize, but you're going to have an in-person interaction with KK, along with our other esteemed chief guests. We really, once again, appreciate your time, KK. A really, really amazing talk, taking you through your personal journey and some of the challenges and how to literally find the hacks, not just in hackathon, but in life. Thank you. Thank you so much, KK. I'll let you go if you have to, because I know it's early. Harish, do we have the list of problem statements so that we can quickly announce it to the team?
Yes, Karthik, I do have it.
Yeah, can you please go ahead and present that, and then you can also put it in the WhatsApp community group, and we can also basically keep it on the website. I'm sure you're also going to set up a DevFolio account soon, Harish, right? You're going to set this up for submission there. So I request all of our participants, wherever you are in the world, especially in India, you will get the list of problem statements. You will get a pitch deck, if you will, which will allow you to draft your initial thoughts, the business model canvas, the MVP, the idea you have. Try not to be verbose, try to get closer to the real life solution. So we have just like 5 fingers, and 5 is a very unique number, 5 elements of nature. We thought that 5 themes and 5 problem statements will be the ones which need to be addressed. So Harish, over to you, and I'll keep chipping in for each problem statement after you go.
Sure, thanks, Karthik. So hi everyone. So I'll be going through the list of the problem statements. We have already shared the themes, the 5 themes. All of them are with respect to the healthcare, and we'll be digging a little more deep on each of those themes for individual solutions, and we expect a lot from you guys. So we have 5 different categories of problem statements. The first category is based out of Industry 5.0. So all of your technological, advanced, research-based materials or products or prototypes of POCs can drop into this specific segment. So it deals with AI, ML, predictive modeling, digital twin, metaverse, IoT, telemedicine, anything you name it with respect to Industry 5.0. The second one is a more specific problem statement which we got from one of our partners. So that is with respect to cardiovascular sciences and technology applications in Thryve sensing. The third one is something which is trending right now with respect to Gen AI. We call it, or otherwise we call it ChatGPT, which is more common. So these kind of interactive AI based which are trending right now, those come under the third problem statement. The fourth one more falls into the social value. We talk about the mental wellness and therapy solutions using digital healthcare. And the fifth one, and the most important one, is the connectivity solutions. So all of these technologies should add value to connect a lot of people together across the world. This specific problem statement deals with connecting the healthcare, payers, providers, and life sciences using a platform. So now we'll go in detail to the first problem statement. Yeah. So the first problem statement starts with creating an easy to use application. It can be metaverse or it can be a telemedicine type. It should connect to the rural patient with the doctors in the urban areas using the advanced AI methods for remote consultation, or we call it telemedicine in generic. You can have prototypes, you can have POCs, which can deal with IoT, or we also call it Internet of Medical Things, IoMT, or augmented reality, virtual reality, in terms of consulting, in terms of seamless interaction with both these platforms and patients and providers. And one place where you can add your niche segment is the identity validation. Using Aadhaar cards, you have your 12-digit PIN. So anything with respect to those 12-digit PIN on the first set of identity validation will add more value. So the specific problem statement of the lot is with respect to cardiovascular sciences. So here you are required to build a digital tool. It can be an application, a web application, or a mobile application. Should be helpful to the heart surgeons or the cardiologists to plan their working hours and to manage the number of footprints into their area of healthcare. So some of the basic parameters involves like tracking the visitors, the patient's age, their working hours, their BMIs, number of steps, sleep hours, all of these should be automated, and it should be connected with the surgeon's application so that they are being tracked 24 into 7. And if there is any outliers involved, an immediate warning or a red flag should be indicated to the smartwatch. To make this process even more simpler, it should be a predictive method just to justify the fact that prevention is better than cure. So we all know that we are in a phase where there is a lot of challenging environments coming in, where our behaviors, our eating habits, our stress patterns and sleep routines are very unstable. So anything which can track these and give us a warning, saying that some of these behaviors, some of these patterns are harmful to our health, will add more value in terms of this specific segment. So the Gen AI, something which is in trend right now, you need to develop either a web application or a mobile application. This is for post-operative data for cardiology, oncology, and any other segments. Should be helpful for the surgeons in terms of tracking the vitals and in terms of tracking the patient's important data in near future. So you can add a layer of a sample data set with a specific number of patients record, and then you can integrate a chatbot to your front end and a query-based input-output method to track those insights from the patient's record will add more value. In terms of social value, again, you need to, it can be an application, either mobile or web application. It should support wellness, stress management, mindfulness, breathing habits, and everything connected to your smartwatch or smart devices. So you can also use your augmented reality, virtual reality chatbots to integrate with those therapy and mental wellness. So the core concepts here stand with social value. So with respect to the technology and social value, it will add more value to your solution. The fifth and last problem statement is with respect to the connectivity. Again, it can either be a mobile application or a web application. It should integrate with all of the players inside the healthcare, starting from payers, providers, and life sciences. Or in other terms, we can also call it the hospitals, the insurance agents. So one example of how you can handle this is like you need to have a sample data set, you can have medical records, a centralized medical record, and an API means of transferring these records from the payers or providers. You can search for insurance claims processing. That is one way of addressing the solution. Or an insurance claim processing can be made easy by a centralized communicative method. So these are the 5 problem statements, and I would like to just wind up this problem statement session with essay by Will McCoy.
There is a question, Harish. Somebody's raising hand.
Yes, Karthik, I just saw it. With respect to individual questions, you can just drop your queries in the WhatsApp channel. We are addressing you.
Hi, sir. Is there any chance that can we change our themes or tracks? We have already chosen the tracks, right, sir? Can we change them? Since after the
Yes,
problem
that
statements,
shouldn't be a problem. That shouldn't be a problem.
no, not a problem, right, sir?
Oh.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Someone else is raising their hands. V Kaushal. Do you have a query?
Sir, hello.
Yes.
Sir, in fifth statements, we have to make our own app, sir, app or website.
Yes, it can be an app or a website.
Okay, sir.
Harish, can you just go to the fifth statement?
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to explain a little bit more context in each one. Can you just go from the first? I will just, because some people are having some doubts, so let me go ahead and help them understand. So we are trying to do certain things which are the need of the hour of the nation. They are there to help people to basically identify, easy solutions. So the first one is basically for the rural poor. There are a lot of telemedicine companies. There are companies which have invented smart medical wearables devices, which can measure using Internet of Medical Things. But how can you make an experience for a rural person or for any patient for that matter? The human touch of the doctor makes all the difference. So how do you make the remote rural patient feel the touch? The touch is happening through the medical device through IOMT. But how can you enable something like a regional chatbot, or can you enable something which is like a metaverse or augmented virtual reality using, let's say, Microsoft HoloLens? Or how can you propose a solution where the patient literally feels that he is part of a consultation versus just a device touching his body? Secondly, this should work in offline mode, because in remote parts of India, the patient connectivity is very poor. They don't have 5G and the luxuries which we have. So how will you enable that for them? Lastly, how do we basically allow the linkage of shareable personal data of patient, which is not confidential, with the patient consent? So three things: experience factor, using chatbots, conversational AI, metaverse, lens, HoloLens, any of the augmented virtual reality headsets. Secondly, using the Internet of Medical Things to touch and feel, at the same time give like a haptic, or give a sense of the patient, that a doctor is able to examine them. Lastly, integrating the data with the patient consent, maybe using Aadhaar, or if anything comes up in the future like Abha or anything. What is the framework you will propose to create this telemedicine based on AI, AR, VR, IOMT? Next one, please. The next one is a very interesting thing on cardiovascular thoracic surgery. This is not for the surgeon, just to clarify, this is for the patients of the cardiologists or the cardiac surgeons. So every time a person comes with a blockage in the heart or not everybody needs a surgery. And typically this happens of sedentary lifestyle, people having high blood pressure, bad food habits, not being active enough, not sleeping enough, high stress. So can you create an app which takes these factors of inputs from the patient, so that when the patient comes to meet the doctor can see one screen or one record, which gives a risk score of the patient over, let's say, past 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, any time frame you can choose, of what were his working hours, how long he slept, what was his BMI, body mass index. And how can you also integrate this with alerts? There are certain apps, open source and proprietary, which connect with your Samsung Health, your Apple Health, and they are able to alert you if certain parameters go out of control. The second part of this is, how do you build an AI ML warning system for the doctor? Suppose somebody follows all this and still needs a heart intervention. How do you predict? How do you look at historical data? Can you use any supervised learning methods like regression? Can you use linear regression? Can you use any of the techniques where you have these parameters of BMI, number of steps, sleep, age, working hours? You have an incidence of heart disease in the past. Can you predict based on the current patient, which is almost like giving the training data set and then asking the model to predict the cardiac health or wellness of the patient? So this is on cardiac health wellness prediction. Next one. This is basically managing all of the post typically when doctors, surgeons, they come out of surgery, even oncologists, they don't have an easy way to store the data. Can there be a voice to text transcriber? And can you use generative AI to build a contextual case of that patient so that in future that can be mined and it can be analyzed using generative AI? So basically, you're building a knowledge base using generative AI, and you're providing a chatbot that based on past incidences, doctors can ask this chatbot based on the Gen AI dataset it has built, based on various operations. And I've taken only two here, cardiology, oncology. And if you can show how you could capture the inputs from the doctor, convert from voice to text mine it, create word cloud, do word and speech analytics, and then basically store it in a way which is Gen AI searchable, and therefore it can be used as a chatbot to provide advice. Next one. Mental wellness and therapy. So how do you provide stress management? We had Dr. Sujata Kelkar Shetty. Now, what she teaches, you cannot expect somebody to come all the time and do. Can you develop a stress management, mindfulness, breathing, yoga, any of the kind of this thing which integrates with smart device? Now, the important part is not building the tutorials. How do you make it an open stack thing where it integrates with any of the mobile stacks? And how do you conduct therapy sessions? Can you schedule appointments? And what are the knowledge-based resources? Can you use generative AI to build this? Can you use chatbots, conversational AI? That is the thing. Can we do augmented virtual reality? So again, instead of going and seeing a psychologist, counselor, or psychiatrist, can you do an augmented virtual reality session for people, right? Because they don't want their identity to be revealed. So it's all about mental wellness, mindfulness, therapy for healthcare. Next one, Harish. The last is, how do you create a website? As a patient, you have many insurance plans. How do you select from a given set of insurance plans? And with the patient consent, how can insurance companies look at the shareable data of the patient records so that insurance claims can be validated? How can the insurance payer sector be benefited by seamless integration with patient consent of the patient data? How do you transparently provide patient with more insurance plans where they can themselves choose something which is custom fit, which is available to them? And how can you make this whole claim process settlement easier? So can you create a website again using generative AI, which advises patients on which plan to take based on certain parameters? Or if they have had an incident, how do they go about settlement? So taking all of this data, exchanging it seamlessly, creating like a chatbot or creating a generative AI. These are the things. So you have telemedicine, you have cardiac care, you have post-operative ML modeling, you have digital mental wellness, and you have health insurance. So these are the 5 themes. So happy hacking, everybody, unless there are any questions.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
So, while registering, there's this theme called Digital Healthcare Solutions and Mobile Application Solutions, sir. But when it has come to these 5 problem statements, last 2 problem statements come under the same theme. So what should we actually choose is my question. The theme we have chosen is Digital Healthcare Solutions and Mobile Application Solutions.
See, we are not going to be rigid. You can choose, change your track, change your problem statements. Whatever you want, you can go ahead. Yeah?
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
So, should it be a full-fledged front-end application, or else, for instance, let's take the generative AI problem. If we build a very robust back-end model, is it sufficient, or should it be a full-fledged front-end complete application? So
the complete application increases your chances of winning.
Okay.
But if it is not a complete this thing, at least if you show one part of it, you have a better chance of winning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sir, do you have any open data set or referral data sets?
You're free to use any data set. So we don't want to give you spoon feed all those things. We want you to be innovative, and that is how we distinguish who is a good team, who have done maximum. So go ahead, be innovative. Flexibility is the mantra. You can try your best. We are there to support you.
All right.
Okay, I think that's about it. We don't have anything else for today. We also want to be on time. We said 2 to 5. So we're finishing it on time. Thank you again to our sponsors, Thryve Digital. Thank you to our IIIT City host. Yes.
Sir, actually in the registration form, we have 6 problem statements, but here there are only 5.
Yes, we have made it 5 because it is easier to manage, as I said, as a number. That's how I started, to give lesser themes, and because the time is very critical right now. So we want to restrict it to these.
Do we need to include even insurance in our theme? Like first we choose digital healthcare solution. Is it necessary to?
You choose any of these topics. So the themes are basically the areas. So you choose any of the areas you want. These are the areas we have given you. These are the topics. So you can now work among this to find out what you feel comfortable with. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. What is that other point, Harish? The shortlisting collection.
Day 0. Today's day 0. Tomorrow.
No, day 0. Day 1 only selection will happen, right? Harish explained that timelines table you didn't show. Show them the timelines.
Yeah, today is day 0. We are given a friendly heads up and 8 hours lead for the problem statement. So tomorrow is actually day 1. Tomorrow, late 9-10 p.m. is your deadline for first submission.
So Harish, can you project the timelines once?
Yes, Karthik, I'll be sharing those timelines in the group in my channel.
Just flash it once so that we tell it on the call, so that they are clear once here. So more than the selection of statements or all this, try to get innovative. You will get more rewarded for innovative than being the part of the rule book. This is what we signed up. That's what we want to change. We are more interested in seeing your innovation. We are not keen about changes or modification that you can change even till tomorrow. But you have to submit something by tomorrow. So there was a black table, no? That table you had shown me, Harish.
Just given this. This is a presentation.
No, you sent one table to me, one black color table. Okay, in the interest of time, you can share the timer, but broadly, you can start working on your pitch decks. Harish will share the templates so that we shortlist at least the top 100 tomorrow. So we will see who all make it to the top 100. So please share your pitch decks. We will have a similar session tomorrow after the initial launch at around maybe Harish late evening to announce the winners. And maybe we'll send a mail also to them, correct?
Yes, Karthik.
Okay. Yeah, this is the one. So we announced the problem statements today, and tomorrow we will have the hackathon launch. We will then have round 1 submission deadline. We'll shortlist the top 100, and then we will tell the top 100 to top 50, depending on how many are there. The next day we will shortlist the top 50, and then the last day the top 20, and then we will conclude the winners day after tomorrow, right? 100, top 100, right, Harish? Then top 50, then top 20 till the submission deadline of the winners.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the dev folio, Harish, when are you going to, that is for the next round? Initially they submit decks, only next round they will have dev folio, right? Tomorrow you will give the.
Yes, we are getting the DevFolio platform in place, and once its setup is done, that is a separate session where we'll be showing you how to upload your submissions and how to review your submissions.
That is mainly also when they cross the MVP stage. Right now you're at the MVP stage, so only PPT is important for shortlisting. Correct, Harish?
Yes, sir.
DevFolio is more of the code, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. You can post your questions in the WhatsApp. We will respond to that. We have given you the deadlines. We will share the deadlines again on the chat. So we will close the submission of it is 72 hours. So we are launching it now. So by tomorrow late night, you will know the top selected teams, and your submission deadline will be 5 p.m. tomorrow. before 5 p.m. tomorrow, please submit the pitch decks. Thank you. That's about it, right, Harish?
Yes, correct. Tomorrow 11 p.m. is the deadline.
Yeah. No, 11 p.m. we'll announce. Okay, you can publish this for clarity. What is the meaning of the approach? The approach is basically that you have to put a pitch deck. Harish has already shared the template. The first round is your pitch deck, how you are thinking of the idea, what you're going to do, what is the business model canvas, how do you build an MVP, do you have a prototype in mind, right? So let's go with that. Any other questions? Welcome to post it in the WhatsApp group. We'll respond immediately. And if any of you need any mentoring support or anything, always reach out to Harish. Yeah. Harish, and decide a time. Please publish clearly. There's a confusion, 11 p.m., 5 p.m. So.
Sure, I'm publishing right now.
Yeah. And what is the difference between first round and second round? Second round, Harish, I think should be closer to some kind of a prototype, right? MVP.
Yes.
First round is a pitch deck. Second day, it should be something like a prototype, wireframe or MVP or working code, whatever. That will determine whether you're eligible to go to the next round. Okay, thank you very much. We will be happy to take more questions offline. Thank you again to IIIT Sri City and our hackathon sponsors and partners, Portfolio, and more importantly, our organizer. Thank you very much. Stopping the recording.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. No, by the end of round one, you submit only a pitch deck. Harish, can you put it clearly so that they don't ask the same question again?
Karthik, the details are present in the FAQ document. I'll be sharing it to them.
Yeah. Please watch out the WhatsApp group. You cannot submit entire solution in round one. It's impossible. You'll only have an idea to be submitted. Thank you. Okay. Thanks a lot.